All right, and welcome to Now This Is Podcasting. I'm your host, Connor, and I have my producer, McKinnon, here.
What's up?
And we have a former guest, Calvin, on.
Thanks for having me back.
And we talked about this earlier. I don't know what else to call you. I just like former guest.
That's my official title.
Yeah, I think we're going to keep that one.
Yeah.
And so we're changing it up a little today. We're not going to we usually do like a review and analysis of a movie. And today we're going to do a commentary of Calvin's favorite movie, James Cameron's Avatar. And I think we're all just so stoked to see this.
Yeah, favorite is a bit of an understatement.
So we're watching this on Disney Plus, and I'm not sure if you want to follow along on DVD or Blu-ray or whatever. It has us starting it at like the 20th Century Fox logo. And so if you want to follow along, we're going to hit play in 3, 2, 1. All right, yeah, we got the logo going, and I'll give some cues as to where we're at in the beginning. That way, if you want to, again, if you're following along, you want to be lined up, you'll know where we're at, and you know where to be. And so we were talking earlier about if this is like one of 5 movies that's going to come out, I believe.
I just don't see why you'd make any more.
Well, and I remember Jaden was talking about how the newest one is filmed like underwater, and again, that's like why I just don't.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, it'll be a fun like what Avatar is a technical experience is cool and exciting. It's just such a terrible story.
So we're at Sully's just woken up. So if you're tracking along, that's where we're at.
So I kind of like the narration in this movie a little bit. I don't think it's terribly overdone. I know most people say that the narration in movies generally is like a cheap thing that people use to fill up your movie with exposition and stuff. And I kind of like how it's drizzled in through this movie, and it wasn't overdone for me, and it kind of seems necessary for like the world building throughout.
Well, it's only necessary because they're for poor filmmakers.
I was gonna say I always think because we did the Fellowship of the Ring. We talked about how there's narration for the prologue, but I think the narration is like required because that story is like you have to explain a lot of stuff really quickly, otherwise the story doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, you're talking about thousands of years, leading up to that point.
And so I think that the narration in that movie makes sense, but I do also think that if you need to have a voiceover in your movie, it might be because like you're not good at showing what your film's about.
I guess that's fair. If they didn't have the narration in this movie and they just showed the guy coming to the planet for the first time and you had to like piece it together yourself, maybe it's doable still. I thought it was acceptable, but yeah, maybe it would be interesting to see if they cut the narration out and how it would come out differently for sure.
Yeah, it just functions less as a film, more as a book. Oh, and yeah, of course, have to call it Pandora because we couldn't come up with our own unique names. We have to be lazy and use mythological archetypes.
I'm so excited to hear you talk about this movie. I can't wait.
I can't wait either.
God, this movie's so like they haven't even really gotten to the planet yet, and I'm just so excited because everything in this movie is so beautiful. I love how all the visuals.
Well, yeah, and I guess that just speaks more what Calvin said. Where it's like it's all like how cool could they make something, or how good could they get the motion capture to be, and
Yeah.
how good are the visual effects? But it's like, but then you have a planet called fucking Pandora, which sucks.
Yeah, but like even just like in space with like these spacecrafts and stuff, and like this isn't the best part of the movie, but I'm still just like this looks so good.
I like that they make the ships look, I guess, like maybe practical, what you would think ships would look like in the future, I guess, because they still have like they're like black and white, like the NASA space shuttles were.
They're not like flames on them.
Yeah, well, they're not like they're not like wacky looking future spaceships where we have like I don't know some kind of weird hover
like
technology
Star
or
Wars
like,
spaceships or something.
Yeah, right. It looks like it's not as sci-fi as I think they could have made it. I like that he at least had enough restraint to make some of the vehicles look practical, I think.
Yeah.
And I do like the spacecraft. They do look they're very like NASA shuttle.
I love that. So. I love that guy. He's like, let nobody die today. It looks very bad on my report. Yeah. That always made me laugh.
See, like, yeah, even like the mining equipment, like, it looks practical. It's not like they have some kind of crazy laser fusion powered thing that's extracting the unobtainium out of the planet with like levitation.
It's very
That's what I'm saying. It's
practical.
like it seems like practical stuff,
Yeah.
and that's when I can appreciate the movie for that for sure.
Every time I see that mining equipment, that like giant machine, I like to think about what the Transformer would look like
That's funny.
for when we get that crossover eventually.
Oh god, I wish there was no more of those movies made.
Yeah.
I would watch that movie though.
Avatar, Transformers crossover.
Yeah.
Okay, I would probably
Avatar: Dark of the Moon. Yeah.
Jar Jar.
So what is his name? Is that Sam Worthington? Is that his name? Right.
Yeah, Sam
Yes.
Worthington.
What do you guys think about him in this movie? Do you think he's like a compelling actor?
No.
Connor?
I
I guess
always,
I didn't need to ask Calvin.
No, I think he's fine.
Okay.
I don't think anyone in this movie is like especially bad, but I just don't think anyone is especially good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he's better as the Avatar. I think he's pretty low energy as like the human.
I would like to have seen a scene where he plays the brother that he took the place of first.
That would have been cool. Yeah.
Because I think you get the sense that like he's supposed to be kind of this like, I don't know, maybe like downtrodden. Because what he was a Marine first, and like he got hurt, and now he's done.
Yeah. He's like the
and he's-
opposite of his brother because his
Yeah.
brother's like a scientist and he's a
And so
warrior.
and that's what I'm saying. So they use that voiceover at the beginning to tell you that,
Hmm.
and it's like, well, it would have been cool to see a scene where they clash, and the brother who's gonna go be a scientist on this planet and become an avatar or whatever. It would have been cool to see a scene where, I don't know, he's trying to explain that to Sully's character, and Sully's like, I don't get it, like I'm just a jarhead or something stupid like that. Would have been better than a voiceover, I think.
You realize Sam Worthington doesn't have a twin in real life, and like
Oh,
filming,
shoot,
filming
how-
a scene with two people
yeah.
like that, it's impossible.
Yeah,
so-
you're right.
Okay.
I mean, it's not impossible.
Well,
mean,
no, 'cause-
There's been plenty of movies that have used that as a convention.
Oh, I love that
Um,
line too. Meals on Wheels over here.
I don't think so. Because remember, what's the movie Parent Trap? That's
Yeah.
Lindsay Lohan's real sister in it.
No.
Yeah, it is.
There's no trick of the camera there. That's
I like
real.
so this
Yeah.
this little bit of like world building, the like show don't tell with like the arrows on the in like the tire. I like that.
I do
'cause
like that's
that.
a good point.
I know that show don't tell, but it's just forced down your throat. It's not an Easter egg. It's like this is the only purpose of this shot.
But it's better than this guy talking about how like they've been shooting at us for years and blah, blah, blah.
yeah, well,
It's
here he is
better.
though doing that exact thing.
But this speech is so good. This speech is so great. I quote this speech to my wife all the time.
That's a normal thing to say. Everything that flies will kill you.
Squats in the mud wants to kill you and eat your eyes for jujubes.
That's a normal thing to quote to your wife.
I think he's a good villain too. I like him. He's not a very complex guy. I like him though.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like that's what's so irritating about so many stories is that there's no nuance of human experience. Like no one is just a villain and no one is just a hero. There are so many shades of gray that go into characters like this, but we like to dumb them down and make them simple to and easy to digest because that's the point of the story. Like this is the guy that fulfills the villain role, and like, oh, here's your token nerd character coming up. Like, yeah, like
You're absolutely right that like I said, the best way to describe it, there's zero nuance to the characters in this movie.
So how would
Yeah.
you do the general guy different?
Not put a goddamn scar on his face.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's an easy way to be
That's
like.
like a physical thing. I'm talking about like
Yeah.
personality
But I'm
traits.
saying, but that's a thing that like points out like obviously this guy is like gonna be bad news later. Like,
Dude, show don't tell. That's perfect.
But I'm saying, but like,
yeah, but it's cliche.
Yeah,
it's
that's-
cliche
yeah.
like thing.
Sure,
That's,
yeah.
That's the difference. It's like the thing is like he can be like a complex character that's just this is my job. I don't like doing it type thing. There's some type of
There's gonna be lots of sighing in this one, I think.
yeah, exactly. Like the thing is like he can be like driven by duty, but still at the same time like not necessarily feel good about what he's doing. But he's just so over the top with it that and there are real people like that. But the thing is that that's not everything they are, even if that's how they act.
So you don't like that the villain isn't 50-50 about it.
It's not even
he's
like
just
50-50. He just doesn't show any human characteristics.
okay.
He's just like, oh, I'm big, corporation doing, not thinking about anything. We're just here to crush indigenous populations for the sake of colonialism and material extraction. Like,
Sure.
it's all about the resources, and that's just all he embodies is that. There's no human in him. There's no necessity for him is the thing. It's like you could have the overarching idea of capitalism and a corporate bureaucracy, like, be completely characterless and still be the main villain in this whole thing.
So you think that they could have gone more into like the
They didn't even need to make him a character.
yeah, I get what you're saying. I still disagree though. He's good.
He's fun. That's the thing. It's like he's not well constructed. He's not good. The fewer people you can focus on, the better a film really works. Unless you're gonna flesh them out in really, really good ways, in a short amount of time, then
Wait.
fewer
Yeah.
people is always gonna be
Is
better.
this where so we're getting introduced to Sigourney Weaver's character now.
She's so good. She's such a good actress. I freaking love her. Calvin, you gonna tell us what?
I like she's just like, I need a cigarette.
I need
like,
a damn cigarette. Yeah.
it's like I don't know. I think her character probably has the most depth out of anyone.
Yeah, but funny.
Like,
still,
I would-
still
the
built
movie-
on cliches.
But I don't know. I think out of everyone, the movie should have been about her, not solely.
Do you think that she's coming back in
Oh,
the next movie?
No.
Okay.
Why would she?
Well, I mean, there's every possibility.
She's a famous actress. She could do any other movie except Avatar 2.
Yeah, but I want to say that she's on the IMDb for this movie, for the second
I
one.
would believe in like a flashback or something.
Okay.
But I don't think she'll be a significant character.
I
in the
think
second
she's
one.
gonna come back as one of the Banshees.
But I don't care about the fucking tree of life thing. It's whatever, man. I guess you could fabricate, because the way they built this movie and like how everything's connected, you could put her back in the movie, no problem.
I think they could bring back anyone because of like the
Yeah.
tree of life.
I
or
think it's a
whatever, yeah.
really contrived, boring thing to
It's
do.
very boring, yeah.
Because it's like, okay, well now if you do that, it's like, okay, now when people die, I don't care anymore, because they can just come back, as some other thing.
I really like that line too. They're pissing on us without the courtesy of calling it rain.
It's
A lot of good lines, I think.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They're just good lines. Like it's
Yeah.
meant to be like they're stand-ins for real character development. Like, oh, look at how clever these people are, but everyone talks like that, and it's just hollow.
So
Okay,
you would have liked to see more like character interactions.
Yeah, or you maybe just stop talking. Like, it's just like everything in her face says everything you need to know about it.
okay, McKinnon. I want to make a bet with you.
Okay.
I want to say the over/under on Calvin saying good things about this movie. I want to put it at 5.5. Do you take the over or the under on that bet?
You think there's gonna be 5 bad things for every one good thing?
No. I'm saying throughout this whole movie.
Total.
So the over of 5.5. So if Calvin says 6 good things about this movie, then the over on that bet wins.
I'm
If
going to
Cal-
bet under. I think it's gonna be.
So you'll
less
take
than
the
that.
5. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll take the over on that bet. If
Okay.
If Calvin says more than 5.5 good things about this
We're
movie,
at 0 so far, I think.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna keep tally.
perfect. Yeah.
And this is recorded, so I can always go back and look and make sure I win the bet.
Now it's like in my mind about the number I need to hit or avoid.
You'll forget. Forget.
I'm gonna hit 5.5. How about that?
so
Well, the 5.5 is because
I'm
you
gonna-
can't do 5.5.
I'm gonna
So it's
give
either over
I'm gonna give
or
a
under
half
5.5.
compliment.
so this guy, the corporate guy who's funding this whole thing, I don't.
Giovanni Ribisi.
Is that his name?
Pretty sure.
I don't know him from anything except Friends.
He is in a show on Amazon called Sticky Pete.
Is it good?
He plays like a con man,
Okay.
and it is pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I only watched the first season of it.
I like
liked him in it though.
I think he's a good actor. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that he's not in more things because I do really love. Oh my God, and the Unobtainium,
The Unobtainium. Here we go.
which is
Yeah, Giovanni
a real.
Ribisi. You really nailed his name on that one. That's it.
Yeah, I know. I know my name.
He's a film major.
Yeah.
Do you know that?
But yeah, Unobtainium is a real word. It is assigned to materials that they don't have a classification for. but it just reeks of cheesiness when you think of a movie like this that's being tried to be made technically dumbed down for people to find it palpable
I
or palatable.
Yeah, I think that I take like vibranium and adamantium from like Marvel movies more seriously than I take unobtainium. Unobtainium
Yeah.
sounds even more fake than those.
Yeah, exactly.
So we were talking about that guy Norm, the your token
Yeah,
nerd
nerd.
guy. So I mostly know him from I only know him from the movie Dodgeball.
Yeah.
He plays like one of the regular Joes on the team.
Yeah.
It's so like I don't take him seriously either because he's just gonna get nailed in the face with dodgeball. Is what I think.
Gosh, I haven't watched that movie in forever. We should do an
Like
episode on that.
they're gonna be doing like Navi dodgeball, and he's gonna be a big blue guy just getting pelted with dodgeballs.
Vince Vaughn in the next Avatar movie.
That'd be great.
Oh my god. Yeah.
And Ben Stiller is the villain. Yeah.
Gonna be like a swingers homage.
I have not seen that. I know that's apparently what made him big and famous, but I've never seen it.
I haven't seen it either. I just know that. Yeah.
That's the dude, the tech right there. He's in Inception. He's the guy who comes up with the
Yeah.
concoctions for the sleep stuff, and
He drives the car.
he drives
for,
the van.
like the whole movie.
Look, he's literally the same character here.
Some people are good at an archetype, Calvin.
He's not doing anything though. Like you could have a stand-in for anything.
But his
what he's
performance
doing.
is really compelling.
He's not compelling at all. He's holding a chart and nodding really, really.
Believably.
No, not believably. Over dramatically. No person is like hunched over staring at like something they've done 1,000 times before.
You think they've done?
Hold on, what do you think about this wormhole into the other guy's brain?
Makes me want to watch X-Men. Is what I think.
Right? It looks like it does. It looks
Yeah.
like kind of the old X-Men movies where it's like, oh, and then the cell splits and it's mutated and it travels. And it looks like that.
So this is like the first really, really, really good animation part of the movie with like the mocap.
I do
Yeah.
like so they snap next to his ears,
And
I
he
like that his
reacts,
ears
yeah.
twitch like involuntarily. So I think
Yeah.
again, this movie is a technical marvel. Looks great.
Yeah,
And
I mean
it's
the
cool
blue
to
looks
see-
real. It looks
yeah.
like the blue's really there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think it's little things like that that make the animation really believable. Because there are a lot of movies that come out now, and it's like just something in the face is wrong, and it helps that they chose to do these like big creatures instead of like make them look really really human. Because
Yeah.
I think that's where you get in trouble with like visual effects is trying to make something human like Grand Moff Tarkin or Princess Leia. It's like you can tell like it's just not quite right. So I think if you make it like this, they make them really tall. They really change their complexion. And so it's like you're already kind of suspending enough disbelief that if the animation isn't like 100% there, you're like, oh, okay, well it's an alien, it's not a person. Which I think it's hard to do that when you're trying to make a person look really real,
Yeah.
and that really lends itself to like the animation in this movie. I think.
Yeah.
Why are they sedating him? Like,
Because he's gonna break he needs to adjust to the body, right? So they
Yeah.
need to sedate him because he's like overworking himself.
Because they have a cool escape scene, Calvin. That's why they need to sedate him.
I love this idea of just like they're just playing basketball.
And so, okay, so I think this would be okay. So I wonder, is Sigourney Weaver's character in this? Does she like basketball? Like, does she shoot hoops like when she's a human,
That's
or
not
does she
Sig-
only do
That's
it?
not Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, it is.
Her face didn't look like Sigourney Weaver, not like the other Avatar that comes
I
up
thought
in a
it's
second.
wearing the same clothes because she wears like that red tank top thing. I
They
thought
probably
it was.
have like they probably have like similar clothes. I doubt that they have like different clothes for each.
You might be right. I just thought
lady.
that was Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
it's amazing to see how many, watching this back now, how many of them they have here, and how just few characters they used in the whole film. You know, they've.
I guess I wonder. Yeah, are the other ones? Are they like going to different tribes and stuff? Because okay, so if they're like, okay, we're still practicing in these bodies, like we're not ready to go out yet. Sully is the newest one to get one of these bodies. He's not even supposed to be there, but he's like the first one to go out and interact with like the tribes that are out there. So what are the other ones doing?
I don't know. I hate this line though from Sigourney Weaver. This line coming up. Think fast. The way that she says that is so weird to me. I don't like how she says that line. It is always like stuck in my ear. I hate it. Also, doesn't that look disgusting?
That's the juiciest fruit I've ever seen.
I don't know if I would eat anything purple like that.
Yeah, look at how many of them they have. They just like the final battle and everything. They're literally nowhere um, to do with any of this. The other part of it that's really I don't understand is why they've done this at all. Um,
Well,
how-
they say that it's to like grow a relationship with the aliens and try to talk to them into moving eventually.
yeah, but why?
why?
You're on a completely different planet where, like, this is the whole dark forest theory with aliens. Have you ever heard of that one?
I haven't.
So the dark forest is, it's coming. It grapples with the idea of like why haven't we made contact with other aliens?
Okay.
There's a multitude of different reasonings behind it, but one of the biggest things is it could be that any whatever because if you think about the technological advancement, how it's exponential, whoever reaches that peak to for interplanetary travel first is going to be so much further advanced than anybody else that the moment they come in contact with another civilization, they're just going to destroy them. Like that's just going to be the difference in technological advancement between everybody. So the thing is like once you get to another planet, there are no rules. Who gives a shit about things that are not human? They could just destroy all of them. They're not even like trying to learn anything from them. They're just treating it like it's just it's colonialism from an Earth standpoint, like where oh we kind of care about people because they're humans and stuff. But this is a completely corporate venture to try and get unobtainium.
Yeah, so why would they even care?
Well,
to,
they
like-
they say that they want to talk them into moving and not just exterminate them like they do later because of it looks bad for like the shareholders on Earth. Like
But
that's
they
what
don't
they
even,
say.
yeah, but that's the thing is they don't even know, and they could make up anything. They're on a completely different planet that no one would ever find out about.
I think that they assume that someone on the planet would spill the beans when they get back to Earth. That's my assumption.
But these people don't go back to Earth.
Okay, so
no, but if things go their way and they get the people to move out and they get all the unobtainium from under the tree, then some will go back to Earth and probably, spill the beans at some point.
it's just still like a silly plot point. Like
Sure, yeah.
it's like why would you even go? Like
Is it really efficient to make these avatars and then spend months or years
Yeah, it's like-
talking them into like moving? It's
Yeah,
probably not practical.
Unless they already had
just
this
saying this is-
technology
Yeah.
available that they could create synthetic bodies with this mind link.
I think
which
that's
is
yeah.
ridiculous to think that they would already be able to create synthetic bodies, especially if something they just came in contact through, which would have a different organic chemistry than anything else on Earth, considering that they're in a completely different environment.
Sure.
And I don't really care about the technical stuff in this because it's still a movie and you can do whatever you want. And if they want to make the bodies, I don't really care about the science that goes into that. What makes the whole them creating these bodies and having the mind link and going in there to try to communicate with the native population there is that it would make sense to me if they were trying to do it like covertly, like secretly, but like the native Navi know that they're like fake. Like they already know.
That could have been interesting, actually.
And
Yeah.
so that's why it doesn't make sense to me. So it's like either way, they could be like, they already know that they're humans inside that body. So like just be humans and do this. Like it makes no difference. Unless they're like, oh, well, we want to like have these bodies that way we can be in the environment without masks on or something like that because humans can't breathe and live in the atmosphere that they have. But like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. They already know they're humans in these bodies, so just be people. Like,
Yeah.
That's to me the part that doesn't make sense to me. I don't care about the technical stuff because I can throw that away for a minute to just watch a movie.
Right, and that's kind of why I find it so ridiculous. Why they would go to such extremes and such scientific lengths. You could just talk to them. I mean, they're so similar. You can still recognize them as having sentience. So I don't know why that wouldn't be something that would be reciprocal to them as well. They'd be able to see, oh, this is something that looks similar to me, enough so that I can have compassion and understanding.
So what do you think about this part? So we're Sully's talking with the general there, and he's basically like, oh, it's I'm gonna have a Marine on my side, and it's good to have you, Corporal. And did you take their relationship seriously? Like, did you think Sully was gonna be like working more for the general guy there, or did you think he was going to be working more for the scientist?
Oh yeah, of course not, because
I was like, no part of that relationship did I think like he was going to be loyal to like kind of his military background or whatever.
yeah, it's it's hard to say that they even felt like anything at all, because you could tell, for one, he wanted to whatever got him into the body so he could walk. A was his number one priority, and then number two, he's the hero, so of course he's not going to do that. These cheesy like zoom.
The quick zoom. I was just about to say that. Yeah. So the right after they land, I feel like the actual movie starts for me, because it's like it's completely different after they land and you get to see all the monsters and then he's like lost in the forest for a bit. To me, this is like when the movie actually starts.
Yeah, and it's a very different feel than a lot of other
yeah
Hollywood movies. For
it's
that
supposed
reason.
to feel different than when they're at the compound, right?
Yeah, which all feels very stock Hollywood,
Yeah.
military. It is weird too that they dress them in.
Like regular human clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and that's again to me. It's like why are you trying to? Why are you trying to convince these native people to move? Like, you don't act like them. You don't do anything the way they do, and
Yeah, look
like
at 'em.
all you're doing is being in a body that they have. It's like,
Well, this isn't them trying to convince the natives. They're just out for scientific research.
but when
at the
they do
moment.
meet up with them, they are still wearing clothes and
Yeah.
stuff. Like
Yeah,
And
what's
look,
her face? Sigourney
Norm's
Weaver,
wearing,
yeah.
wearing a fucking baseball cap.
Yeah, that's
Like, what do you need a baseball cap for? You're on another completely different planet.
Go Redskins. He's just representing, you know.
dude. They're just called Washington Football Team now. They're not
Yeah,
even called that.
exactly.
Well, I'm out of the loop, so
Yeah. Well, on this planet, they're the Washington Blueskins.
Oh my god, dude.
this
And
is-
if that-
Appropriate,
yeah.
appropriate correlation to make, because this movie is all about like kind of the mistreatment of Native Americans for sure. That's definitely I think the point they're trying to make. It's definitely like about colonialism.
I like these like the monkeys that like aren't in the rest of the movie. It would be cool if like there was a avatar that hooked up its ponytail to one of those.
I think one thing that's kind of cool. Don't they all have like 4 fingers?
They have 4 arms.
No. The
Oh, the Navi do, but the avatars have 5 fingers. Yeah.
oh, do they?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, because when he's flexing his fingers, you can see
Oh,
it.
that's
but,
right.
Natiri, I think the lady.
right.
Zoe Saldana.
So like
She
the
has 4 fingers. Yeah.
all the native stuff to this planet is in 4s. They don't have 5 fingers. They don't have 5 toes. So I noticed that, like,
Oh,
so like
interesting.
the you're talking about the forearm kind of monkeys, the apes that are moving around.
Yeah.
They have 4 fingers, and I think
Okay.
later on that's like sort of panther thing that shows up. It has like 4 claws and not 5. So
Yeah.
I think it's just like a show like the different biology of the 2 planets, whereas like everything on Earth is like in 5, like
like how spiders have 5 limbs. Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about. Like
Yeah.
at least mammals are in 5. So
yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
it is a neat little thing, and I did forget that the avatars have 5. They don't have 4. That is I forgot that was a thing. Good job pointing that out.
God, I bet the people who did like the art concepts for this movie had the best time. Like they could just do the most colorful, wild things ever.
I wonder if it's stressful because I feel like working for James Cameron is like not working for a real person. The dude has been so rich and so famous for so long, and he's now put out 2 of the most successful movies ever made. Like, I wonder if talking to him and like doing like giving him your concept art is maybe like nerve-wracking, because this dude is like, it's like talking to Jeff Bezos or like someone who's like not a real person anymore, because they're just so like such a big deal, you know?
What did he do before this?
Titanic.
Was it okay? I mean, that was like 100 years ago.
Still, if you account for like inflation,
Sure, yeah,
it's
yeah.
still, I think
It was
Avatar is
incredibly
second
successful,
to
yeah.
Avengers, and then Titanic is right behind Avatar. So it's still,
Interesting,
he has like 2 of the top 3 grossing movies of all time. Like,
Yeah, not if you adjust for inflation. If you don't adjust for inflation, the list is very, very different.
Gotcha.
what
yeah.
isn't like A Beautiful World like one of the
No,
A Beautiful
the
Life,
nu-
or what is it?
No, the number 1 is Gone with the Wind.
That's it. That's the one.
And the biggest reason is because of how they used to show movies back in the day, because you didn't have Disney Plus. They would play for like a year or 2. I think Gone with the Wind played for 3 years
In theaters?
in theaters.
What the hell? That's
yeah,
nuts.
Yeah, exactly. And they also didn't have show times back in the day. You would just go in to the theater while it was showing, and you would just start watching, and you would watch until they're like, oh, this is the part where we came in.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh.
That's kind of wild, man.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so this is the creature. If you look on his like paw, he's got 4 fingers. So it's like the things on this planet are all in fours. I just think that's a cool little bit where it's like, things on mammals on Earth have five, and
That's not true.
yeah, look at it. He's got
No.
four.
Yeah, but not on Earth. On Earth, they're all very different.
Mammals?
Yeah.
Mammals are all the same, each of them.
I don't think so. I think I want to say that there are a few that don't. Like dogs don't. They
Dogs don't have a pronounced thumb,
Dogs have
but they
a-
have a tiny bone higher up on their
back
arm.
there.
Yeah,
And even whales, if you like
the bone
the bones of their
structure,
fins,
yeah.
they have five.
Huh.
Like manatees have five.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it's yeah.
Because whales evolved from dogs, and that's why they have the fifth bone in
think-
their
Wait,
fin.
I think you mean the other way around, right? Dogs evolved from whales.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And even dogs, they still have five pads, and then they sometimes have the dew claw. So it's fives. I'm
Yeah.
not a biologist,
Same-
but I'm saying
same-
that it's kind of a
A
common
tail
theme
is like a
five.
fifth leg. Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm just trying to say a fun thing about the movie that I noticed. Give me a biology lesson here.
Yeah. I'll take it. I don't know enough.
This is
about
supposed to be an exciting part of the movie, and we're just like talking right through it.
Yeah, because there's nothing actually tense about it.
There's nothing at stake. You don't feel like something's at stake.
No, not
So
at all.
here's the thing, Calvin. If I'm wrong, correct me. It feels to me like perhaps you don't feel like there's anything at stake because you've seen 1,000 movies.
Yep.
But if you're an alien
Hold
and you're
on. What do you think about the slow mo? Like, why?
it looks weird. I don't like it.
I don't love when.
Especially this part.
Yeah, I don't love when films like kind of change their technique like mid scene. It's like just be a slow mo. Because like okay, so like
and then the slow motion when he jumps off the cliff.
Lord of the Rings has like some slow mo parts, but they're not like it's not like mid scene. But
Yeah,
this
it's-
is so
it's so
awkward to
goofy.
me.
And they're
It's so
very
awkward.
they're very intentional about when they use them.
Yeah.
This is just like here let's create like let's check
Action
out how
shot, yeah.
like and how cool all of our I feel like that's a big thing like with like Transformers 2 is like we put so much work into creating these models and animating them like let's really show them off by giving more screen time to them by incorporating slow mo.
Well, the scene wouldn't
yeah.
look as tense if they didn't use slow motion. Like I think it facilitates the tenseness a
Yeah,
little
but it's
bit.
faux tenseness is the thing. So it's like
Yeah.
you still understand like he's being attacked.
God, the water looks so good. I'm sorry. This is the. I think this is like the most technologically advanced part of the movie. It's just the water. It looks so good.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like yeah, I'll say it the whole time that this movie looks great.
Everything. Yeah.
I'm waiting for Calvin to say it looks great. That way I can count that as a
I
compliment.
know,
for the
right?
movie.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was gonna say like yeah, like the real artists in this film are the ones making the concept art and animating things, and they're basically building an entire world from the ground up. That's amazing.
Right. And I don't think anyone saw this movie and walked out of the theater and was like, man, that story really, really spoke to me.
Calvin did. Calvin went to film school after this.
Yeah, exactly.
The-
like
the
they're
peop-
like so caught up in like the emotion of it all.
No, like
But
the people left the theater saying like, wow, that was like the most beautiful movie I've ever seen. Like that's what people took away from this,
Right.
not the story.
not the
'cause
story itself,
it's
but
not
it like
unique.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it imparts like a certain type of emotional reaction.
So this is a pretty important part of the movie here. Sully's about to get absolutely nailed by an arrow.
Well, Sully's Avatar.
Which did they establish that if the Avatar dies, do they die or?
No, because an avatar dies later. Because the guy from Dodgeball, his avatar dies and he wakes up in his pod.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
That's a little bit of a spoiler. Sorry for
Yeah.
you folks at home.
So
Sorry.
again, like
Okay.
another level of like why the entire attack scene with that jaguar type lizard is there's no tension to it. Like we know he's not going to die. Even if he does die, he's not dying. It's just a body. Like it's just
So, okay, people who have seen the movie before, they know, like, oh, we're only 20 minutes into this movie, our hero's not going to die. The alternative for not having those scenes is to just not have tense scenes. Like, you have to have scenes like that, even though people who aren't stupid, they know that their hero's not going to die. But the alternative is to just not have those scenes, and I think that's a
No.
worse idea.
No, it's not. It's not having those scenes. It's making it so that like it's so strongly insinuated that this entire film is from his perspective only. And when you have a film like that and a story like that, you have to keep that character alive because otherwise, everything that you've built up for that story no longer functions as a cohesive narrative anymore. Now the entire tone has changed because you have to look at it from a different person's perspective. Like if they had incorporated multiple perspectives of the actors, of the characters, then it wouldn't be there would be like it'd be like the Game of Thrones. Like we care so much about all of these other stories and characters, we invest time in them, that if one of them dies, it's like, wow, that was a major character that we put a lot of work into, but because they can die, it creates actual suspense. It's more like real life. But
It's like
since
like the part we're at now. They search for Sully because he got separated after the Jaguar attack, and so now they're like, hey, we have to head back. Like it's night, we can't be out here. And now Sully's by himself. If the camera, if we had then gone and focused on like Sigourney Weaver's character and like, what's our plan to like rescue him tomorrow? Like let's set up a grid, like search grid to find him. And you don't get this scene that's going on now where it's Sully by himself again. And I get what you're saying. It's he's not going to die because what if he dies right now? Then what the hell is the movie about anymore? Because the movie is completely from his perspective. He's the only character. Like the story is driven by his character. It's not driven by anyone else.
So that shot where like zoomed in on the legs always got me thinking, because I wasn't sure what the shot was for. Like if they're showing that like the dogs have been like burned on their legs before or something. I don't know if there's like a deep meaning there or not.
no, it's the same thing of like all the other slow mo that they've put in. It's
But why the legs though? If that was true, then the shot would have been better if they just focused on the mouth and showed it snarling, but instead it zooms down to the legs. So I don't know if the like discoloration is. You think the discoloration is just discoloration?
they just want to show like, look at how cool our creatures are that we've made, and that's literally it. Because like the thing is like the most terrifying thing in films is imagination. It's not anything that anybody ever shows. Once you see the monster, it gives it gives substance to all of your inner fears and anxieties. And once you see it like that, then they're taken out of your mind and onto the screen. And then when you separate them from your actual like your subconscious that way, then there's something else. They're not nearly as terrifying.
I agree with that. So I watched A Quiet Place 2 recently.
Why?
Well, because I like the first one.
I mean, but yeah, you saw the first one. So
And that's exactly my point. I mean, not to get into a review about A Quiet Place, but A Quiet Place 2 is cool because it was like a story I hadn't seen before. And I mean, A Quiet Place is a story I hadn't seen before. A Quiet Place 2 is just the same story again, and they show off like the creatures in it a lot more, and it makes the creatures way less scary in that movie. It's a fine movie, but it's like if you've seen the first one, you've seen the second one. It's the same thing. But I agree with that. As like I wasn't as worried about the creatures in A Quiet Place 2 because I already knew what they did and what they looked like. They didn't add anything to them or change them at all. So I wasn't like as into them as scary creatures because now I already know what they're all about, and so yeah, it makes them not as good.
yeah, okay. So one other thing, the only good actor in the entire film is Zoe Saldana, which is a really interesting concept to think about since she was entirely mocap for the whole film, and her being is she an actor in that sense, or because it's a facsimile, it's taken from her real expressions, but it's not necessarily her. So she's to them, especially like the Oscar committee. I actually don't know what they're called, but the Academy. She was a voice actor, and that's why they didn't put her up for a nomination.
Is that really true? I didn't know that. I didn't know that she was only considered a voice actor for this.
I mean, no,
guess,
that's
like,
no. I don't think she was, but I
Oh.
think that's what they thought of her as, because like she's not really in the film.
well, but like,
It was their idea.
but
Hasn't like Andy Serkis won?
but Andy
awards?
Serkis is like
But not as a supporting actor.
No, but I mean, wouldn't people consider him an actor, even though he's like very rarely in a movie?
But they're not to the point where they're gonna like consider him a supporting actor.
I
That's the
wonder-
thing.
yeah,
Like there's
okay.
there's still a barrier here that that can't be crossed. That isn't being crossed, but in their minds that they are actual actors.
So do you think
could see
that?
that,
Do you
yeah.
think that? Okay, because Andy Serkis he plays Caesar in Planet of the Apes, which I can't remember if he got nominated for anything for that. But so I wonder at that point, do you open up a new category? Because again, I think part of this is just being like pretentious Academy, voters or whatever, who are like, well, this isn't like real acting, this doesn't count. But it's like it's so clearly like if you watch those movies, like if you see Gollum, and if you see Caesar, it's so clear that it's Andy Serkis is the character there. And I think it's the same with Zoe Saldana in this. It's so clear that like this actor is like driving this character. So do you think you open up a new category that is like something that is accompanied like the visual artists and the actor win an award, or do you think you just like ask them to stop being pretentious and recognize that this is a really good performance, regardless of whether or not she's literally seen on screen?
Like a
Yeah.
voice acting category.
Well, the thing is I think it's just going to be how society deals with technology as we move forward. I think once we see more and more things like this, and as technology gets further and further, basically we'll be creating live action animation. Once we get to the point where that's an accepted mode of, it's an equivalent, you have an equivalent range as a normal actor, that will be when we start to acknowledge those. But the other thing is like what genres mocap characters are really in. They're in films that are shitty. I mean, that's
So we need to we're kind of getting away with like what's going on in the movie, and so it's hard for I think to
I mean,
track right
not
now.
a lot
so
is
so,
happening,
Yeah,
though.
well, I guess that's fair.
This is the only part that's happened.
So I think that this is obviously it's like this is his first like real interaction with them, and I think she's making fun of him, calling him stupid because he doesn't understand like their cultures, like they kill those little panther guys, and she's like, no, we have to like honor them and like send them to Yahweh or whatever.
She says no, thank you. Yeah.
Yahweh.
And-
Yahweh is universal.
And so like
I
now
suppose.
we're getting to like all the seeds are gonna land on Sully because he's like special somehow. And again, this is why there's no tension when his character is in trouble, because he's built up his like
He's the one.
he cannot be killed.
He's
like,
the
yeah,
one.
It's prophetic. It's Dances with Wolves.
Yeah,
baby.
it's like so I don't care when he's being chased or attacked because like the seeds landed on him, so I know he's not gonna die.
Are these seeds? I thought they were like living creatures.
I think they're well.
I mean,
they-
that's what a seed is.
I mean, a seed
Well, a
is though.
seed doesn't have a brain.
But does it mean that it isn't an organic?
Whatever.
I didn't
Seed
say
is
organism.
seed is just the most comparable thing I can think of.
Sure,
I
sure,
don't know
That's-
what's going on this planet, and I
That's
think
a
they
jellyfish.
aren't they seeds from the tree. Isn't that like
Yeah.
why it's a big deal? It's
I
like
thought they were like.
no, they're from the tree
Yeah, they're
of
from
life
the
or
tree.
whatever.
They're from
Yeah,
Yahweh.
look, she's gonna tell us
Yeah.
seeds of the sacred tree.
Seeds of the sacred
look
tree.
at
Oh
that.
shoot!
This is
okay.
why we have subtitles
Yeah.
on.
So you should have instead of dogging on me for calling them seeds.
I'm not
They're
dogging
very
on you.
pure spirit. No, I'm not dogging on you. I just think that visually they remind me of jellyfish, not seeds.
God, you guys are so insecure.
Oh, look at this.
That's what I'm saying. It's like he's got his arms out. and
But
he's
so Calvin,
like-
this
he's a Jesus character.
Yeah,
in
this
there.
is
a
the
martyr.
archetype, yeah.
Yeah, savior.
Yeah, this
Save,
is the
savior,
Jesus
hero.
archetype,
Yep,
yeah.
exactly.
This is Superman. This is
And then we just
Matrix.
have to have him hold his hands out like that, and everybody understands the connotations of what they're trying to say and why this character is only, if they do die, will only die at the end.
Well, and now
for
like
a moment.
Yeah, possibly for a moment.
how do you
but
say her name?
Zoe Saldana.
Zoe Saldana.
No, her character Nadiri.
Natiri.
Natiri, okay. But like her whole kind of tone towards Sully changes.
Yeah.
Because she's like, you're a big idiot, and now she's like, oh, come on, like we're going to this place.
I do agree that she's probably the best person in the movie. Like she's doing the best job. I agree with that. I think most of the people are doing a pretty good job, but I particularly like her performance. Yeah. In the slow motion there, like what is that for?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, if you're gonna do a cut to something, just film it in the same style the whole time. It's to me, it's jarring to see in one take a change. It would be like going from like a camera that's on like a boom or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's like it's a shaky cam.
Well, so I think
it's
using,
jarring to see like different techniques in one shot. Like do a cut to a slow motion shot,
Sure.
and then do a cut to a just something at normal speed. It's jarring. I don't
to
like
me,
it
the
at all.
slow motion, if it makes sense in the scene, like if they're trying to draw attention to something, I think it makes sense. If
But they're
right.
they're just trying to, give themselves a pat on the
Yeah.
back.
So
It's a useful technique that
my-
hasn't been
yeah.
used right so
my
far.
example of like a good use of changing to slow motion would be like like when Neo is dodging the bullets for the first time in the Matrix.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a cut from he's like, oh crap, and then the agent starts shooting bullets, and then the next cut is all in slow motion, and that whole shot takes place in slow motion. It's not like the bullets get to him normal speed, and then all of a sudden it's like he's doing his cool moves.
Yeah.
I think that it works in that movie because like the context of that shot has been set up because of the whatever film technique they're using. It doesn't change midway through and then speed back up, It doesn't, it stays consistent. And to me, like, I appreciate that a lot more than like, this like, let's speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down. I think it looks weird.
Yeah, and I think too, why it works better is you do have more suspension of disbelief. The fact that you're in a computer, like, simulation.
Yeah, that's true. I
Like
guess.
the camera technique reflects the actual physics of the world. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, that's cool.
That's a good
That's
point,
so
yeah.
interesting. But yeah, here, like, the thing is, it's like, if everything, I just feel like there's way more tension when things are constantly running around, with all of this chaos, because you don't know what's going on, what's happening. You don't recognize any of these creatures. You don't know how dangerous any of them are. But to, like, pause and show, like, their little paw pads gripping the roots as they run by,
Yeah.
it totally saps it of any.
So I don't know if you noticed, like, when they're walking slowly up to the chief here, and they, instead of like having like a knife to his throat,
They have it on his ponytail.
they have it on his ponytail, which I
Yeah.
think is a cool little thing. It's
I
like
think
that
that was cool, too. I
that
never noticed
connection
that.
for them is like really important. And I don't know if
Yeah.
that kills them if they lose it, but it's like that is their way to connect to like the tree or other creatures, and it's their way to connect to the earth. And like it's more important to like cut that off than it is to like cut their head off or slit their throat or whatever. So I think that's a neat little thing. I noticed that.
Yeah.
I just love it. Of course, he does like a stupid human custom there. Like, why would you do that? Like,
What do you mean you don't want to shake my hand, you alien?
I'm just saying, like, people had interactions with Native Americans, and they knew like what was appropriate and inappropriate, and they knew like what was gonna get them killed. Like, I'm just saying, like, why would you do that?
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
silly. Like, you are completely out of your depth here. Why would you just let me just walk up to someone and do this? Like, I mean, there are people, other human cultures in the world right now where it's really inappropriate to like touch people with your right hand. Like you're not supposed to shake hands with certain
Yeah.
people. So like, why would you just do that to someone you don't know? I don't know. It's just, again, we talked about suspension of disbelief, and I do it a lot for this movie. But sometimes he's just a big dummy, this Sully guy.
Yeah.
Oh man, no one's gonna like this because we are just hating on this movie so much. I want to say nice things, but I just like how it looks. That's mostly what I like.
I mean, that's the thing. Is like, it would function better just as a collection of stills.
I don't know. I like this part that, like, he's not appealing to them like a scientist. He appeals to them as a warrior. Like, I can learn, the others can't. Like, I think that's a neat take, that, like, because he's different than all the scientists, he tries to use that.
I appreciate that.
My cup is empty is, like, what he says. Because, like, he's not trying to teach them anything. He wants to learn. I think that was a neat take on
Which
him
is
versus the other
interesting.
avatars.
Which is interesting because if you really think about, like, scientific minds in general,
Mhm.
they're constantly learning, constantly wanting to learn. So
Yeah.
it's more of a pretension of the scriptwriter here. The, like, oh yeah, smart people just think they're so smart that
Well,
they just
but they
can't
show
learn
that.
from other people.
They show that to us because, like, Sigourney Weaver comes in here to teach them English, but he's not coming in to teach them.
I always
Yeah,
thought
but
of
they're also learning their language, so that interplay is clearly there. So that's why I don't understand why they've decided to set that up as an antagonism. Like, these people are here to exchange information, which is the whole point of organic chemistry in the first place. The exchange of information. Like,
Sorry, I like this part. He's got like the Navi clothes on now, and he's
Like a
got like a
little
wedgie
wedgie.
from it.
Yeah.
I think that's funny. But I always thought of the scientists. I think they're not in the movie. They're not portrayed as scientists. They're portrayed as like missionaries would have been.
Yeah.
yes,
Not-
absolutely.
Yeah. So they're. I mean, like they come in, they teach them English, and they're trying to like teach them, like white people things. They're not trying to exchange cultures. They're not trying to like learn more about them. They're trying to indoctrinate and stuff like that. I always viewed them as missionaries, not as I know they are scientists. Their characters are scientists, but the way
They're written.
they act is
Yeah.
like how missionaries would have acted, like interacting with Native Americans. I think.
I really like
Come
that.
to save.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I think it's funny that, like, every Navi in this movie is, like, ripped and, like, really fit. And I would have loved if they had, like, one overweight Navi. I think that would have been really funny. But there just isn't just a single
Well, I think,
Navi
like,
that sits at home all
when you
day.
when you get to like when you're in the kind of tribal stage of your culture, you're not.
Yeah, you're
if,
like,
if you're fat,
yeah.
then you're useless. And actually, like I know when it got more, the fatter you were, like the more it meant you had wealth. It meant
Oh,
that
for
you.
sure, yeah,
It was
yeah.
like attractive to be overweight. Like
Yeah.
like kings and stuff and lords and people who ruled.
Yeah.
When they were fat, it was like, oh, like this is a person who has power and has money, and
Yeah.
they don't need to work because they have someone to do the hard work for them. So I think it makes sense to me that there's not a fat one because
I
like,
just would have
they're all
loved it.
doing some work.
There's
so.
like one background Navi that was just like
That's
twice
like a
as
little pudgy-
fat as
little
everyone.
pudgy one?
Yeah.
So Sully's back now. He's woken up, and they're all picking his brain about because he's the first one who's gotten to stay there, like in the home tree for the Navi. And look at little sad Norm over there.
Dodgeball sad, yeah.
He's bummed that he didn't get to do it.
And who trained for 5 years learning the language, and this guy goes in trying to shake hands with the
Yeah,
chief.
that's what I'm saying. It's like
But it's that, and that's the thing that I really, really hate is it's like a destiny thing, you know. It's not about hard work, or like it's the same problem I have with Harry Potter. Like, there's no reason that like Harry can do the things that he can do.
Well, Harry's not good. Like he
Yeah.
sucks at being a wizard. He's
Exactly.
not good at it.
And but the thing is like how they're made as a main character is like, oh, it's all about your destiny type thing, and how we focus on those things and discount like actual ability and actual merit in this way. Like we're made to you know, like have enmity towards Norm because he's pouting because he spent a significant portion of his life learning everything he could for this job, and this dude walks in. I'm sorry, that was a bad joke, but he just comes in and for whatever reason he's the only one that can connect with them. Like,
Yeah.
it's lazy storytelling.
I don't know. I think it's perfect.
And it makes me wonder, like, how different would this story have been if the brother lives and they don't need him to, like, come in and take over the body? So does that mean, like, everyone was going to be unsuccessful until he shows up? Like,
Yeah.
so it is, like you said, the whole Destiny thing. Like, it just so happened that he has a twin who can take this over, and he's a totally different kind of person, so the Na'vi treat him differently, and that's
Yeah.
why it sucks. That's why there's no tension around his character.
Yeah. And they're not even like, the only reason he's still alive is not because he's different. It's because he had a culturally significant sign placed on him. That could have happened to any of them, you know? It literally goes back to how a culture interprets a sign, especially from a religious standpoint, of how they're accepted. It could have been Norm, and there wouldn't have been any reason that it couldn't have been.
Well, then it makes me wonder. So, like, I guess I get that the military there, they're fighting them and they're against them, and so they're all negative towards each other. But wouldn't they respect some of them as warriors then? Why is Sully the only one that's like respected as a warrior? It's because the fucking seeds landed on him. Like, that's why he's allowed in. So it's like, it's just, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot
Yeah.
of stuff. I
Yeah,
do
if
like
they
this
were
part
a
a lot
warrior,
because it's like they're horses, but they're like hummingbirds too. I think it's so cool.
yeah, or like, yeah, kind of like anteaters.
Yeah. I just like that they're like getting the nectar out instead of like they're not like chomping on hay or whatever. It's like that's not how they get their food. I think it's cool. Again, this is just take a break from dogging on the story to talk about how it looks cool instead of about how it is cool. Like,
Yeah, honestly, you know how Netflix has those shows where it's just like, it's not even really a show. It's just like background noise. It's just like
Oh, for
like
sure,
moving
yeah.
art type thing.
that's
Yeah.
a good way to describe a lot
Yeah.
of Netflix shows.
Yeah.
It's like one of the like aquarium backgrounds or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Like,
it's just there. Like,
yeah, like that. I think Avatar would function better as background noise to like a dinner party than it would as a serious narrative or a work of art. Like, in that sense,
so I mean,
like the lobby of a hotel.
yeah. I do like this. So I mean, this sets up a lot of stuff for later in the movie about how they use their like kind of that ponytail connection, and like it can connect to like anything kind of alive on the planet, which is cool. It's cool to think about like everyone kind of being the same organism on one world and able to connect in that way. It's kind of neat, and it sets up what his character does later with other creatures and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's a obvious bit of foreshadowing, but I think
Yeah.
it works.
It's a heavy-handed allegory, but that it's an interesting idea biologically that things could grow like that. But the thing is like what is weird though is if everybody, if everything biologically um, has that, they would all look a lot more similar too.
And again, that's a thing to me where I'm like, I recognize the movie for just being a movie instead of like. There's sometimes I like my sci-fi to be very science heavy. This one I'm okay with it being more fi heavy, you know.
More fire.
And so this is the part Sully's kind of explaining to them the structure of their tree and everything, and so like this is like I think it's maybe he only does something like that like one or two times where he's like kind of in on it like with the military guys, like kind of giving them intel, which again I wish that that was more part of the story because then that would be actual tension. Not so much tension like is Sully going to die or not. It would be tension caused between the scientists and the military people, which there is. They do have like arguments later on, but I don't think it's built up enough. Like Sully just explains a couple things and like now they're against each other. You know, I would have liked there to be like more. What side is Sully really on? And there's not enough of that. I don't think to make me interested enough in like kind of the conflict between like the science side of the corporation and like the military side of the corporation.
Yeah, they need to spend more time building the world and looking at all of their cool, um, goofy trinkets that they've created. Oh yeah, and the flux vortex. Gotta drop vague.
You're like so frustrated by that.
It's just like pseudoscientific terms. Like they would just literally call this like a specific grid section on through the coordinates, or give it like a name that didn't mean, like, if they are scientists, they're not gonna call it a flux vortex because
Yeah, that. Okay, so I'm a big fan of Star Trek Next Gen. I really love watching it, and when they would write for that show, they would basically be like they would have real dialogue that they wrote, and then the writers would put in like technical jargon, like that would be like on the script. It'd be like technical jargon here, and then someone would write in like just some flux capacitor, some gravitational warp field, some nonsense like that, some technical shit that doesn't really mean anything toward for the dialogue or the story. It's just something to make it sound science fiction, and I am fine with it in that show because that's how the whole thing is built. Like I know it's gonna sound like that, and it's classic because it sounds like that.
yeah, it's kind of cheesy slash
It
corny.
is. It is super cheesy. But the thing is, like, I think this movie is supposed to be, and I think Star Trek is not about the technical stuff ever. Star Trek is like philosophical problems. It's like dilemmas in like your personal beliefs, and it's more of a story about like, how do you overcome like cultural differences or like interpersonal differences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not about the technology. This movie has enough technology stuff in it that like I want it, and it tries to take it seriously. So when they use things like flux vortex or whatever, I don't take it seriously because it sounds fake and it sounds like some screenwriter put like technical jargon here, and or like sci-fi jargon here, and it sounds stupid.
Yeah.
Whereas
And
like
it's supposed to
I
be
appreciate it more in Star Trek because I know that it's not Star Trek isn't really about the technology, you know.
Yeah. Or I mean, it kind of is, but it's like it's so far in the future that it's not meant to be realistic.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, yeah.
Whereas this could be 50 years from now.
They've kind of built it with the way things look to make it seem like it's not that far off, and so they should have real terms, I guess. But
Yeah,
again,
or at least not like, not cheesy ones. You know, they needed to set them up as being more scientific, or like just like another type of name. It didn't need to be pseudoscientific. It could have just been some type of like how they call them, the Hallelujah Mountains. Like, okay, that's cool. That there's implications of like taking our culture and placing them on theirs, but like calling it a flux vortex is just like you're just supposed to assume like, oh yeah, things are happening like scientist wise that I don't understand, and that's all. Like,
Yeah.
it's just,
so now we got our new creature, the flying guys. Do you know what they're called?
Banshees?
Are they called banshees?
Yeah, well, that's what the humans call
That's
them.
what humans call
They
them,
have
yeah.
a different name for them in the Navi language, yeah.
I like that they talk about them how their connection is like more meaningful than like when they ride the horses and stuff.
hmm
They're like anyone can ride the horse. You just connect to it and you can ride it.
So,
But these ones are like
yeah.
you connect to one and like that's yours.
Yeah, so what I like about the Banshees, when they go to get Sully's Banshee, he has to confront them, and the one that tries to kill him is the one that he has to bond with. But later in the movie, when Neytiri bonds with the Jaguar, it doesn't try to kill her, and that's why she tries to bond with it, which is like the inverse of when he tries to bond with the Banshee. So the Banshee wants to kill you, and that's when they know, like, oh, that's the one I need to bond with because
Oh
it
heck,
tries to kill
okay.
me. But later, when she confronts the Jaguar, it like yields to her, which is like
Yeah, that's
inverted,
true.
which is
Okay,
kind
yeah.
of cool.
I like their little goggles they have on. They look like they're like wings from some kind of insect because
Yeah.
like they haven't
Yeah.
developed glass or anything like that.
Well, it's
I
not
just think
even.
it's kind of neat that they.
Yeah.
It's again, it's another cool design. This movie is just all cool creature designs and cool like visual pieces. But it's just like
Yeah.
what is that? All style and no substance.
Yeah,
Well, and it's not even
absolutely.
goggles. It's just to, like brunt the air, so that stops the flow.
That's not
So
say. It's just
yeah,
like little. It's just like little glasses.
it's
she has
it's
on.
it's
cool.
little world development. It's kind of cool.
But yeah, I always thought of this part as like, that part in a video game where you finally can get a horse.
Yeah.
And, like, and then suddenly like, oh wow, we can get
You
places
unlock fast
faster.
travel finally.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, thank God.
Like watching this now, all I can think of is like, man, this would be a dope video game. It's a terrible story, but it could have been a cool looking video game for
Yeah.
sure.
Honestly,
Every-
it's on par with video game narratives in terms of quality.
Every time I watch this movie, it makes me want to play Jack and Daxter. All the environments feel very much like the Jack and Daxter environments from like Jack and Daxter 2, when they're like in the
it's just
city.
it's just Jack too. It's not
Jack 2, sure, but when they leave,
you uncultured swine.
when they leave the city and they have to like go to the forest areas, it always reminded me of like these environments. So, and plus like Jack looks like these
I
the
kind of
Navi
do.
kinda,
Yeah, I
so
get that.
it's always
What a
always
great
seems to me
game.
of
That's
it.
such a good.
So good.
Yeah.
I would watch a movie about that. I think Jack and Daxter could be a really dope movie.
I think that'd be really great.
Yeah. Just
So
the second one though.
so to catch back up with the story, so they're working from like a remote outpost now because they kind of figured out that Sully has been talking to,
The general is getting a little close.
and
yeah.
I found out he's not a general, he's a colonel. So
Who
we've
gives
been,
a crap?
We've been misquoting that. And so that's why they moved out there.
Yeah.
And so now they're interacting with the Navi a lot more.
Yeah, and it's interesting that she said, I'm not going to have them micromanage this thing. They've been here for years. Like,
And I wonder why. Yeah, that's a good point. Why did they just now do this?
yeah, like they literally had a school set up for children. Like the fact that they haven't gained any significant amount of information is it's really hard to believe.
Well, I would assume that before now the colonel didn't care about their little project and he kept his distance. But now that he is taking interest, they're moving away. That would be my assumption.
It just feels like
well, they needed them
this-
out that
yeah.
tree. They needed them out of that tree. That
Yeah.
so he was interested from the beginning.
Yeah,
That-
nothing about this story starts until Sully gets there. It's like everyone's been like kicking a can, just waiting for this guy to show up, apparently. But they didn't know that he was going to show up and do this. So it's like, why weren't efforts being made before? I guess
But they were
just-
though,
they
because
were, but, like-
was going out there to try to build relations.
it's just like, why was it so slow before, and now all of a sudden it's like, it's like, yeah, he's the savior character.
He's
that's
the
gonna
one,
do
yeah,
this.
he's the
and
catalyst.
that's why it's annoying.
Okay, sure,
Yeah.
sure.
And especially after they've shown like significant relationships built between like Sigourney Weaver's character and the other ones.
Sure, yeah.
It's just annoying when it feels like this movie could have started with them landing on the planet and starting out with Sully there,
Yeah.
and it would have been the same movie. The fact that they've been there for years apparently means nothing. Like this movie could have started with like, oh, Sully, we need you to be first contact with these guys with us because you can use the suit or the avatar, and
Yeah,
it would have been the exact same movie.
It doesn't do anything for the narrative that Sully is he's the twin of the dead scientist. Like, he could just as easily have been the actual guy who's supposed to be in the suit the whole time
Yeah.
or whatever.
Which is another thing I wonder, why don't, like, I'm assuming Norm, the other scientist, and Sigourney Weaver's character, they must have known Sully's brother Tommy. Like, they must have known him, right? Like,
Yeah, that's what they say that.
So, but it feels like there's not, like,
Because when Dodgeball meets him, he's like, hey, I knew your brother.
yeah, but, like, it feels like they don't go, it feels like they don't go into that enough, like,
Well, I mean, the brother's not important.
which is obvious, which is, so why even have the brother in it, I guess, is, like, just,
So I think that it's important that they wanted the brother who has a military background, not the scientist. and this is the way to write the brother with the military background into the story.
So then just have the story start with like, hey, the scientists aren't on board with this, but like the company wants to have a military guy in there too.
So they have like
Yeah,
they have
that's
like
actually a good
applications
point.
open or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's
Yeah,
what I'm saying. Is
they
like
could have done that.
the
Yeah,
the
that would have been
brother being
fine.
in this movie means nothing, and them having kind of like an outpost set up where they're reaching out to the Na'vi before Sully even gets there also means nothing because nothing in the story takes place until Sully gets there.
That would have been a different input to have a similar output.
Well, and
Yeah.
it would actually create even more tension now that you think about it. If the military had been micromanaging the entire concept that we want someone on our side in this project, rather than like there's a, oh, I'm not fulfilling the role that my brother was, I'm not a PhD type thing. There was always that expectation. There's literally the only reason he's there is because of the military. That would create that tension that we were talking about more. Like it would be implied by his very existence. In this sense, he's just not as good as his brother, and then subverting expectations basically.
I like this. I mean, I don't know that I like this part. I like that they're showing him like becoming more a part of their culture and less a part of like human culture, I guess.
Like a little montage of him
yeah,
picking up
so
stuff.
like so he's just shot this like deer thing, and he does the little prayer over it like that she did when they killed the little jackal things. I don't. It's hard to know what anything is because they're all just creatures, but
Yeah, they're all just analogs of what humans can't create anything that we haven't already seen and understood. It's just recreations.
I always thought that was funny because like obviously these animals are like the horse equivalent, but like on an alien planet, would there be a horse equivalent?
Yeah, exactly.
It would
Like
probably
the
be
range
something-
of biological
It would be something that
evolution would
serves
be crazy.
the similar function, but it probably wouldn't look horse-like, you know.
it's a horse with an extra set of legs.
They
Is all it is.
yeah, they shaved it and put an extra set of legs on there.
Which I wonder is part of that is too is like let's not make a movie too dense for people to get. Like let's not create some creature that's like conceptually
'Cause
too
people look
hard to
at it
figure out
like,
because
"Oh,
it's like
that's-
it's easy for an audience to go and be like that's the horse,
That's
like
what
this is the
people
flying
ride,
thing.
yeah.
Like it's easy to do that, and
Yeah.
so I get that. It's boring kind of. It's kind of lazy, but I understand like this movie again. This appealed to such a wide audience, so it's like make a horse look like a horse. It's fine. It's not the coolest thing I've ever seen, but just I get why they're like Calvin said. They're all just like analogs for something that already exists on Earth.
I think I said that, but okay.
Okay, well I'll give you. You can have credit for whatever you
Yeah.
want, but
Thank you.
so nerve wracking. Like just hoping this vine holds.
It feels like the
Yeah.
vines are right in front of me. I want to jump for one. Just want to dive into the TV.
Well, because that was a big part of this movie coming out. It was like
It was in
this
3D,
big 3D
yeah.
epic movie, and this was like
Yeah.
supposed to be the best application of 3D that anyone's ever seen.
Yeah. Calvin, did you see this movie in 3D?
Yeah, I think we actually saw
We
it
did,
in
yeah.
IMAX, didn't
Dude,
we?
we did, and I got I haven't gotten like a headache since, but I remember like having to like leave when we were watching it because I was like whoa, this is like, and so I watched it again just in like a regular
2D.
regular theater, but I do remember watching it. I was like, oh man, I have to leave. Like this is bugging me, which I usually don't get bothered by. Like movies like Cloverfield, like all the shaky cam and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
I usually don't get bothered by that, but this one got me a little bit. I haven't like been messed up like that since, but I do remember having to leave. But yeah, we did all see this together way back in 2009.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
here we are again.
Yeah, it had to have been 2009 because I wasn't hadn't
you-
declared my. I
yeah.
was still in a physics major.
You didn't start hating the movie till 2010, yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. Actually, I don't know if I started hating movies as much in 2010 as much as I started appreciating a wider range of film stories.
Interesting.
I like this guy. He's just like the only this kind of like Navi who's like against Sully. He's like, he's not one of us, but he's like I think he's the only one who like acts like how a real kind of indigenous person would act to someone coming into their
Yeah.
place and trying to like adopt their culture. Like, come on, you're not really.
Yeah. I like him a lot too.
Yeah, I mean, or really any like not even just to say indigenous, just like anyone in group confronted with
Yeah,
someone
for
out
sure.
group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Everyone else, it seems is really accepting, which is really convenient for the plot progression of this movie. But he's like the only one who's like, okay, come on, like I don't trust you. Like this guy's not
Oh,
really one of us.
I would have liked to see a different universe for this movie where it's the scientist in this part instead of like this guy who used to be a warrior. and they're like, you have to go capture one of these, and it's like the scientist who just gets like mangled by
It's
this.
just like, I just wanted to be like, oh boy, oh gosh, like I can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would
he
be
actually,
great.
and then he actually dies. Like, oh.
That would be great. I would really like that. Oh boy, I'm gonna get one of these guys.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
get my own
nor-
little dragon.
Dodgeball was actually the main character all along.
Dude, I would like that. Oh man, that would.
No, the first hour of this movie is the scientist brother, and then he dies, and that's when they recruit Jake Sully.
Oh my god, that would be the weirdest movie.
That would be a huge curveball. Yeah, this movie would be like 4 hours, but
Yeah.
Wow, that is a.
But
we've,
yeah-
we've already come up with ideas that I think are better than this movie.
Yeah, exactly,
Because
but
I
that
would
would
like
be-
that. Because then it
That
makes.
could be the first movie.
Yeah.
Is the brother like, and then if dying, like, oh, he does have a twin brother, like
that would
died.
be the lamest way to end a movie. Like, but there's a twin.
But no, if they had
Like
made
midway
it,
through the movie, I think would be a cool idea.
Sure.
but
Yeah.
if they had made it like from the beginning, like, oh yeah, my twin back in the the Earth states.
That's just like, to me, that's like a poor narrative device to like say like, but the main character has a twin or
Yeah,
something.
I agree. It's a poor narrative device, but it would be pacing wise would be a lot better. You could develop a lot more things.
Because
You-
then it would make the beginning. It would make all the stuff they were doing prior to Sully show up matter. Because none of it matters right now.
You
'Cause-
know, I think I take back what I said about liking the narration. I think if the narration wasn't there and they just went straight into all of this, I think people would figure it out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like
Yeah.
it's very easy to
I think
understand.
I think as far as narration goes, I don't mind this because other movies do narration a lot worse.
Yeah.
But yes, I would like to see a version of this.
I love
where
he's
it's
just laughing at him. He's like, please fall. Like, and I know he's the character you're supposed to be like, oh god, I hate this rival guy, but I like him better than Sully. So I guess I kind of wonder, what are the next movies going to be about? Like, is it going to be more of Sully being a savior character, or are we going to get like more Na'vi people being like the main character? I think in kind of the cultural climate we're in right now, it would be maybe a little out of pocket to have it be about a white guy
Racial
dressed up as a
inequality.
blue guy again.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so
Yeah, exactly.
It would
like
be
that.
it would be better if it was more about an actual Na'vi instead of Sully. So
Do you think he's going to be human for any part of the movie? Do you
Well,
think he's
he's-
going to be Navi the whole time?
well, I mean, I don't want to like spoil the end, but like he is Na'vi now.
No, but like they don't show they like destroy the body. They like there's no telling what happens to the body
Well,
after.
so
they
they have a scene.
You know?
They had a scene a little bit earlier that we kind of skipped over. One of the Na'vi dies, and they put the body at the tree in like kind
Sure,
of that
yeah,
fetal
yeah.
position, and it's that person's dead now. And they do the same thing to Sully's character. They put him in that like by the tree, and he's dead now, and he takes over the Na'vi body.
Right.
So
I'm just saying it's.
I would have a hard time
conceivable that,
believing.
like
I guess you're right. Because this movie again, you can do whatever you
you
want.
can do anything exactly. I'm just curious what you think.
I don't.
So,
I think that would be really stupid.
I think it would be stupid too. And I think that they announced that like most of the movies filmed underwater, right?
Yeah, I mean, Jaden said that. I haven't actually confirmed it because I don't care about the
Jaden's pretty
second
good
movie.
about that stuff.
Right.
I think I'm gonna believe him. But
which,
I'm
by the
curious,
way,
like,
we are missing Jaden on this one. He's not feeling well, but hoping he gets better soon. Depending on when you listen to this podcast, he might be better already.
He's probably better now. He's just busy with all the ladies.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
I have a hard time believing he would ditch us to hang out with a girl.
I don't have. A
I
hard
don't
time.
either. But this is like a neat part. Now he's got his little dragon on his side. He's flying around, and now
It
he's
looks
like
so pretty. I love the color design in this movie. Everything is so vibrant. Calvin shaking his head.
I mean, yeah, it looks nice.
That's something positive. Write it down.
I already.
Oh, dang it.
He already said it looked nice earlier. So.
Dang it.
It's kind of hard to say. Yeah, how many ways can you say that and have it mean something different?
So actually, Calvin, obviously we keep memeing on you. We know that you don't like this movie very much anymore. When you did like this movie, what was it that you did like about it?
You know, it's tough to put it into words because it was really more about like the feeling, like this sense of adventure. Whatever, like whoever likes this movie knows exactly what I'm talking about. Like when they just think about the things that they do, like different experiences, alien world, different colors and things, and like I guess there's some like in-group acceptance type thing that I actually even heard like there was like some people trying to start like their own Navi clan basically on a
Okay.
reserve somewhere. Yeah, because they were just so enamored with the customs and the visuals and the emotions of this film that
Talk
they
about
like,
being like culturally unaware to like Native Americans who are already doing that.
yeah, like
oh my god.
yeah, exactly. Like I mean, the thing is like it's just one type of human experience. You just don't have it in what you're experiencing and in your life, and you're just looking for it. Like that's kind of what I would say. The feeling of this movie is, and why it made so much money is
Sure, yeah.
that feeling, because otherwise it's like yeah, and it's pretty. That looks cool.
I like these structures. I like to think that there was like an old civilization that used to live there. That's like the remnants of like a large building.
I always thought it was like some kind of
It's
crazy
like it's a geological
tectonic
thing.
plate
Yeah.
movement. But I get what you're
I
saying.
always like to think that
It's a cool
'cause-
geological structure for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah, look at the flux vortex. Yeah.
It's fluxing. They have the schematics up. It's fluxing at max capacity right now.
It's just dumb. Like we already know, like obviously flux is a part of electromagnetic physics. Like,
Obviously.
we all know that.
it's just so.
I
it's so
learned that in
dumb
film
looking,
school.
like-
Yeah.
I just want to watch Interstellar now. See scientists that actually know what they're talking about.
Should
Yeah,
just,
that.
just stop the movie right now. Start Interstellar.
Yeah, like new plan.
Okay, here we go. Big death from above scene. This is your big critter.
the biggest of banshees.
I can't remember what he's called. Taruk Maktow, I think.
Yeah.
I can't believe I
That's
remember that.
amazing.
Is that what it's
And
called?
you
I
can't
am-
remember Giovanni Ribisi.
I am like 40% sure it's Taruk Maktow.
So I played with like Bionicles when I was younger, and they all had like really similar names like that, like Matanui and like
Yeah.
Isn't that from Moana?
no, Matanui's the the island that the Bionicles are on. You're thinking of Maui.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, but no, they have like names like that. So whenever I just think about Bionicles all the time.
Okay, if we want a little deep cut, talk about Bionicles. So Jaden's on this podcast with us and everything. Jaden's one of my best friends. He's, we're all really good friends. And McKinnon's my brother. And the only reason I know Jaden is because Jaden wanted McKinnon's Bionicles.
Yeah, we were buds way
Yeah.
before you were with him.
McKinnon and Jaden were friends before I was friends with Jaden. And the reason Jaden and McKinnon became friends is because Jaden wanted to steal McKinnon's Bionicles.
Yeah, and then Jaden turned 15 and decided to like football more,
and
so
then-
we
and then
stopped being
yeah,
friends.
And then we were good friends. So
Good
I like
times.
bringing up Bionicles because that's, if it weren't for your snow Bionicle with the one eye.
God, I can't remember his name. Yeah,
Jaden and I would have never been friends.
oh, how the turntables.
Okay, we gotta listen. Taruk Maktow, yes, that is its name. I am stunned that I knew what that was called.
Oh no, that was his
foreshadowed.
grandfather's name.
That was foreshadowed.
No, it says Taruk chose him. That's the name of the beast, is Taruk Maktow.
No, it was Rider of the Last Shadow. That's what
Taruk
Makto.
Makau was mighty.
Okay.
He
Well,
brought the. Okay, that's the person. Taruk
Yeah,
Makau.
yeah,
is the
he's
okay.
the
person.
person.
Either way, it's something
But the
from
fact
this.
the fact that
remembered
you did
something.
remember it.
I have not seen this movie
kudos.
in.
I'm pretty good at remembering stuff too.
Yeah.
I remembered Pandora. I remembered Unobtainium. I remembered Jake Sully.
Okay, whatever.
I remembered
I didn't
Matiri.
remember that.
Taruk Maktow is a biggie, though. I'm stunned that I knew it. I haven't seen this movie in like years and years.
I also like when they cut from like the aliens world to like back to Jake being in his body, and like the contrast of like this environment that's like pretty gray and dull. So one of the movies I really like is Coraline, and they cut from like her version of the mansion, which is very dull and everything's flat, and then you go to the other mother and everything's vibrant and stuff. And this movie's obviously trying to do something very similar.
I don't know that I'd say it's like flat. I just think it's all. Everything else is naturally lit. This is all fluorescent bulbs, and so I think that's like the lighting lends itself more to the change of tone of them being in like their human experience and them being in the Navi experience.
Sure.
I think
It seems intentional though.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure,
Yeah.
But I think it's more lighting than it is like I don't know. I don't think it's like saturated differently or like the colors are toned down. I just think the lighting has changed,
Yeah.
which is the same point you're making.
Sure,
I'm just trying to be an asshole about it and say I'm right about my point.
I just want to talk about Coraline.
Yeah.
I also don't understand why they're here,
So yeah, so they've gone back to the regular compound.
or at least he's just here for some reason. Like they were just up in their little compound in the mountains.
Well, he's reporting to the corporal to
Yeah, but
give
how
him
did
an
he
update.
get here? Why? Like they have video transmission.
That's not important. They don't need to waste time in the movie showing how he gets here because that's not important to the story.
I agree with that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And honestly, I'd rather have a scene where their two actors are interacting together. I don't really want to see a Zoom call.
Yeah, but okay, but I don't remember this like the story all that well. If he goes back to the thing, there's like no reason why he's here. You
But
know?
there is. He's letting him know that he's like really close and
But
he's
how
about
did
to
he
get.
get here?
It doesn't matter.
It does because it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you
There-
have like one random guy who can't fly anything, who just shows up back up like to report
Here's
to
the thing.
the colonel, a guy who is not his superior?
There
They're
are
not connected at all.
there are 100 videos on YouTube of people criticizing movies, being like, "But how does this happen?" or "How did the
Yeah.
person get here?" It's not important to the narrative, so they don't need to waste time on it in the
Yeah.
movie because that's not what's important.
I agree with that. I don't.
I get
don't,
that, like
I agree with that, but there are better ways of doing
there
it.
probably are, but I've never once watched this movie and thought, "Man, but how does he get here? This movie sucks. How does Jake get here? His legs don't work. He can't even walk here."
Yeah, exactly. But that's the whole
Well,
thing.
no,
It's like
they-
if he's in a
important.
wi- if
No,
he-
they,
if
they
he's in a
say that they
wild-
say that he has to go back. They say just earlier. They said he has to go back and meet him. So that's why he shaves and everything because he's going back to meet him. I'm just saying it doesn't matter. I don't. I
take
don't.
that, Calvin. There you go.
I don't care
Still.
that there's a. I don't care that there's a scene on him getting there or why he's there. It's not. It's like McKenzie. I don't think it's important.
just annoying. I don't think it's important either, which is why I don't understand why it's there.
Fair enough.
And so why is Sigourney Weaver's avatar still in people clothes? That's what I'm saying. Is like
Yeah.
why? What was the point?
Because
of,
she's more comfortable.
not-
That's another thing they
But-
don't need to waste time
But
on.
what was the point of them being avatars if they were just gonna act like people anyways?
Yeah, like if you're not even
to
gonna,
draw a
like-
relationship? They don't need to dress like the Avatar. They don't need to dress like the Navi to make a relationship
Then
with
why,
them.
if they don't need to dress like them, why do they need to look like them?
Yeah, like what
Because
what are
that-
they trying to signal? Like you're trying to activate like sympathy neurons just by the body. Like if you're not even being sympathetic towards the culture, it's going to be harder to
That's fair.
to make that connection.
I understand why she's wearing clothes, though I get what you're saying that maybe it would be better. It would be better if they were wearing the same clothes as
if
the
the
Navi,
point of them
'cause
being
it
avatars is to be as close to the native population as possible,
ruins the illusion,
why are they
yeah.
wearing a Stanford tank top?
yeah,
ruins
like,
the
it's not
illusion,
like
yeah.
it's not like they can just go to the nearest big and tall section. Like they had to
That's right. They must have had.
they had to make
They
those
took-
clothes
yeah,
specifically for the
Well, all
bodies
clothes
in the
are really
first
All
place.
the clothes are really short on them, so it's like regular people
Yeah.
clothes, but they're all crop tops.
it's
Yeah.
goofy. It's goofy. Like she's like, better pack my Stanford T-shirt for my 11-foot tall body.
I didn't even realize that she was wearing a Stanford
It is,
t-shirt.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Have you guys seen the
I
pitch?
didn't know. Yeah, the branded Navi clothing line.
Have you guys seen the pitch meeting for this movie? The one from Screen Rant?
No.
No, I haven't.
They're joking about the ponytails. They're like, yeah, and then they put the ponytails in the creatures to control them. They're like, oh, so it's like a sexual thing, right? They're like, no, it's just to control them. They're like, oh, well, how do they have sex? They put the ponytails in each other. They're like, oh, so it's a sexual
Yeah.
thing.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So now they're connecting to the spirit tree, or is this the spirit tree, or is this just a tree?
I think this is a tree, because yeah, there's more than one of these.
Yeah, it just again, I think it's a neat concept to be like, oh, you can connect to all the things.
There's cool things.
Biologically, I
There's
think
cool
it's a neat
things in this movie.
I just know she has gauges, like real punk rock gauges.
Right. I do like that look. Doesn't fit at all, and no one else wears them. But
Well, aren't there? There are like African tribes that do a lot of like kind of body
mean, in this
modifications and stuff like
movie.
that. Oh, okay. I guess I haven't noticed everyone's ears to see if like they also have it, but
I haven't seen any other ones.
I'm busy looking everywhere I can for the overweight Navi.
yeah, that's it. So we're about to come up. This is the sex scene, right?
This is the sex scene.
Okay, yeah, we're at it. Dude, what do you think? Is it necessary for this? Like, do you think it?
I think it's brief. It's not like
No,
it goes on forever.
I'm not against it being in the movie, and I think this is the one bit of tension in the movie. I think is so she sleeps with him, and then later on she kind of finds out that he's kind of betrayed the Navi by talking to the colonel, and then she's really mad at him, and that's like the one bit of this movie where I was like, oh man, like finally some tension between characters, and I think
Yeah, real conflict.
yeah, and I think this scene is important to set that up because like before that they're just like friends and they're kind of like flirting around, but now they've made this movie is all about connections and connection to each other, connection to your world, connection to your environment, and so now they're connected through this scene. And when they find out there's like a betrayal later, it's like that's why I think Calvin's talking about like Zoe Saldana's acting is great in this because like that scene where she's like crying and she's like devastated that like Sully kind of sold them out like this, and it's the best I think acting wise the best scene in the movie. I mean, and that's why I think it's acting because I felt the emotion, I felt the character emoting, and I believe that is a real acting by Zoe Saldana in that scene, and that's why I think she is an actress in this movie and not just it's not just a CGI character.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's an important scene in the movie. It comes up later, and I just think it matters a lot.
You know, it is interesting too, thinking about the ponytails. Like, if you're connecting with the other organic life with your ponytails,
Yes, Calvin.
is it like akin more to just a hug then? Because I feel like that's the like they gave it like extra weight, but like if you're going around like it'd be a lot easier to say we're just hugging the horses rather than sticking our ponytails in them.
Well, but I mean, like when they Navi interact with each other, they do like that kind of sign where they like touch their forehead and like acknowledge each other and whatnot. They don't hug each other, like so that's like their hug or whatever. They don't like go to each other and like put their ponytails in each other. So I think there is a more intimate thing when it's like Navi to Navi. The same way I think it's kind of like an intimate thing that they do with their animals they're riding sometimes. I don't know. That's what I took from it.
I just don't understand. I guess it's not a good equivalent.
I don't think it's
for a
sexual all the
human.
time. I think it's situation like based. I think it's who they're connected with. It's I don't know. That's what I think. I think it's when it's Sully and Nadiri.
Natiri.
Is it a T or a D?
T.
T.
I was just gonna say I really like how tense this scene feels with like Natiri screaming and like trying to drag Jake away. I really like how that
Yeah.
little sequence. Just for me, I thought that the tension was really good. I'm ready for
That's
Calvin
what I'm saying.
to tell me I'm wrong, but
Is like Natiri's character is the only one that seems real, and she's the only one that's like an actual character in this movie.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
like
exactly.
her emotion in the movie is the only one that's like seems palpably real. And yeah, you're talking about like her screaming, like wake up. She's like genuinely like, oh my god, like do I have to leave him and let him get run over? Like it's
Yeah.
just think about the transformer that
It's
would
very
turn
genuine.
into, though.
I do love
The
how they
tractor.
gave that guy a denim vest.
Yeah, he looks
And,
like a
like,
truck driver or something.
Yeah, like on like another planet.
It is weird. It is
feel
weird
like
that
he
somehow the clothing didn't advance at all, and like however many years changed between them landing on,
Do they ever
the
say
current
what
day
year
and
this
Pandora.
is?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Maybe it's in like the graphic novel or something.
It's in the novelized version of the movie.
I mean, I
I
think
don't
there
know,
is
I
a
don't know,
graphic
it's-
novel.
Is there really? I thought you were just
I'm
making
pretty
a
sure
joke.
there is.
I thought you were
I
just
can't
joking.
prove it, but I'm pretty sure there is.
I don't know. It would probably just be a comic, not a would it be graphic novel? This movie isn't even especially graphic. So.
I mean, a comic is just a short graphic novel.
that's not true.
Yeah, it is.
Graphic novels are more graphic than. That's why they get the name.
Comic is all graphic.
I mean, graphic in the way that it's violent.
That's not what graphic novel means. Graphic novels have
in
pictures.
terms of like how you rate a movie or how you'd rate like any kind of visual piece of work, you would say something is graphic in nature, like it is violent in nature, or it is like sexually graphic.
But that's not what graphic novel means.
It is what it means,
Well, fine then.
because otherwise all comic books would just be called graphic novels. They're not. Some are
I'm gonna
comic
start
books and
calling
some
them.
are graphic novels.
That's what I'm gonna start calling comics.
Graphic is they're relating it to like the severity of the content. We're not even talking about this movie. Oh my god. So the tractor has just run over a sacred area for the Na'vi.
So how does this guy, the guy that Neytiri is supposed to end up with, how does he know that they had sex? Because as
'Cause
soon
he
as they
saw.
pop up, he's like, you mated with this woman or whatever.
Well, I think
Yeah.
it's their
They can
body
smell it.
language and.
Is it a smell thing? I don't. They don't ever explain it. He just knows.
I just think it's like they've been gone together all night. Their body language, they've been together. She obviously cares a lot about him. They've kind of set that up. Like they kind of do a lot of flirting stuff, and he's jealous. So I think it's set up enough that you can believe that his character would kind of have gleaned enough knowledge from their relationship that
I don't
he
know.
would be able to know that like yes, yeah, they've probably fooled around.
I don't know. It sounds like something he should assume, but the way he says it makes it sound like a sure thing.
I
Like
thought
he
he said-
knows it.
I thought you said like question.
It is like a question, but it's all about the tone. That Na'vi tone.
I wonder how they went about figuring out the accent for them. I wonder if it was actually any kind of work that went into it, or if it was just kind of talking away. Like,
Oh, the Navi language.
yeah, I wonder how much effort was put in that. Because I think about movies like Lord of the Rings, where it's like there's so much effort put into language and how it's spoken, how it sounds, and I don't know. Or I mean, getting into the Lighthouse. Lighthouse talks. I mean, there's so much time spent on accents in that movie,
So specific.
and so I just wonder if it was. Was it just sound vaguely Native American, or if they really wanted the actors to sound a certain way in this? So
I think they did. I think they did have language coaches and everything. I think there is a small bit of dialogue or a small bit of language base that they created for the Navi language. But yeah, especially like when it's coming out of Sam Worthington, it's just like it may as well not exist.
well, and
it's
he's not trying to. He's just
yeah,
a person.
He's supposed to sound like a human trying to do that accent. That's why it doesn't sound as good.
I don't even think he's trying to have an accent. I think
I
he's
mean,
just talking.
Yeah, sure.
His
Yeah.
English is. I mean, his American accent isn't very good.
Is Sam Worthington?
Australian.
Is he okay?
Oh my god, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah.
I
It
like
would have been
this.
interesting if instead of grabbing him to like slit his throat, if he was gonna like cut off his ponytail.
Well,
like
I
we were saying
wonder-
earlier, that would have been interesting.
I was just thinking that. I wonder if it's like he's like this isn't even a real Navi, so cutting off the ponytail doesn't really mean anything. He's like
Interesting, yeah.
this is how people kill each other. So we should kill them like how humans kill each other, not how Navi kill each other.
I don't know if he would know how humans kill each other.
I don't know. I that's just what I thought just in that moment. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that's interesting that he had it to his neck and not his ponytail.
that would
'Cause I
have been
was
a little
wondering,
thing
yeah.
they could have done different to like grab the ponytail instead.
Again, that might be just me thinking like, oh, that's clever. He's gonna kill him that way because
I also really like
he's
that
not
part.
a real Navi.
I also really like that part. He's like, "You crossed the line," and then he just knocks him out.
They
Do you
just put a
say
snap
is that
bracelet on.
another line you quote to your wife?
I quote it every time I watch this movie. I
And then you put her in little snap bracelets.
then we pause the movie. Yeah, no.
Oh my god. Oh man.
No, so
What are you gonna do, Ranger Rick? I like that part.
You gonna shoot me?
So this is what I'm talking about. Is like there is no. I would like this movie better if there was more tension, more interaction between Sigourney Weaver's character and the Colonel's character.
Because he's just
Because
bad
right-
for the sake of it.
Yeah,
There's no reason.
Because right now, like their little interaction right there is cool. It's good. It's funny and it makes sense in the movie. But prior to that, it's just solely meeting with him, and she's like, "Oh, I don't like this. Let's go to another spot." I would have liked if there was more. I want more conflict in this movie. There's no conflict in this movie, and I want it to be between Sigourney Weaver and the Major. And that's why this movie is kind of boring. Besides
So-
it looking good, because none of that stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
So isn't this like this is the problem, right? Because you can watch a movie and be like, man, they could have added this that would have gone a long way. But the problem is this movie's 2 hours and 40 minutes, so it would have been super long if they added that. So then what do you remove from it? If you wanted to like have this thing between Sigourney Weaver and the corporal or whatever. Because like this movie's super long, and I believe that this is like the standard version of the movie, and there's an extended one out there that's like 3
Remove-
hours.
Okay, this is gonna sound bad because we've been talking about how good this movie looks. Remove cut some of the scenes that are just like visual scenes.
The montages?
Like cut those. Cut those that way, because the visual stuff is fine, but it's doesn't matter. Like having a visually spectacular movie means kind of nothing if it has no narrative behind it.
You would rather have something more story driven.
I'd rather cut,
That
and
mess.
I'd rather cut a few of the characters. You know, like we don't need so many different characters.
They don't. I mean, they don't spend like any time at all on like dodgeball or the
Well,
other scientists.
I guess by cutting characters, I mean cut Sully back a bit.
Yeah, cut Sully back a
Interesting.
bit. Cut Giovanni Ribisi. Cut the Colonel. It
Those
that
characters are like 5 minutes each. So like they're barely.
yeah, but here we
significant.
are. Here we are spending a significant amount of time trying to validate why they're there in the first place.
Isn't that important to validate?
No, that's the thing. It's like they can. It doesn't need to be a scene as much as it can just be like a bureaucrat. I mean, what would be more likely in a real world situation is just be like, here's a memo from the corporate bureaucrats telling you to pull out.
Yeah, but that's a boring movie.
It is, but it creates so much like. But that's the thing is it creates as much tension.
But this is more cinematic than that. Like what you're suggesting would be very boring to watch, wouldn't it?
Well, he'd still be attacking the tractors.
Yeah, but that sequence that you're suggesting, where you just get a memo from the higher ups, that wouldn't be very cinematic as opposed to this.
Yeah, but this is.
I would rather
I'll
watch
be
this
humane,
movie than that
more or
one.
less.
Yeah, him getting punched in his little pod is just melodramatic.
It's just yeah.
I think it's the perfect amount of
Why
dramatic.
is she wearing sunglasses inside?
God, Calvin just hates everything. Because it looks
What was the whole
cool.
point of her running there in
It's
the first
very
place?
bright
Why
on
was that a
Pandora.
shot?
It's very bright on
Because
Pandora.
it looks cool.
They've written a book, a textbook, and
It's
they literally
that
have
she
never,
can,
like-
it's so that she can show up and look cool with her pilot outfit on and her glasses and her
Aviators,
yeah.
yeah.
It's she has to be, because again this movie is so shallow in how it portrays its characters. She is the pilot character. That's all she is. She's a pilot character, and we wouldn't know that if she didn't run around with aviators on. That's why she has aviators on inside.
Honestly, I agree with you.
That's why. So we were discussing. So Sully does these video logs throughout the movie, and he just had the one where he's talking about how it's useless to try and continue this kind of operation. Like they're never going to move out of the home tree, and so that's why everyone's mobilizing right now. And so it's just like it kind of what Calvin was saying earlier. Like, why did they even care about trying to do that in the first place? Like, why did they even try to move him out? Like, it was always going to be a violent thing, you know?
But they say it's because of the stockholders on Earth. That's what he says. That's what the unopinion guy says.
Stockholders on Earth now don't give a shit about killing people. Like,
yeah,
who
exactly.
fucking cares?
It would look
exactly.
really
On
bad in the
another
company.
planet,
Who
like
gives a
I'm
shit
just-
if they murder these people?
I don't say. I'm just saying what the movie says.
I'm just
okay?
saying people do terrible things for like corporate and capital gain
They've- yeah,
already.
they've done-
like,
yeah,
why
they've
would it
done-
matter if it's
yeah.
happening
I'm just-
a billion light years
I'm
away?
just saying.
Like,
I'm just the messenger.
it is, but that's what I'm saying. It's stupid for the story. It's a bad plot.
I don't know.
It's dumb. Like the Na'vi need to have some kind of intrinsic value in themselves in order for them to not be slaughtered right away. Because obviously,
Mhm.
like humanity has more firepower, they can get rid of these guys.
yeah, they're not even like
So
something is just like in
yeah.
the way, like, but they have enough explosives that they could just destroy it. And they
Yeah.
literally wouldn't care because all they care about isn't the organic materials. All they care about is the mineral.
There has to be something inherently valuable about the Na'vi. Like, so like when settlers got to America, it was like, Native Americans helped them cultivate land and track and hunt and figure out, like, the land they were living on. That is not a problem in this. So the native population has no intrinsic value in this situation where there were times where Native Americans did have value before they had smallpox blankets thrown on them. But in this movie, they don't. So why would they not just be murdered right away? Like, and the whole, like, oh, the stockholders, like, who cares? They wouldn't care.
No, for sure. I get what you're saying.
And I get you defending the like.
I'm not defending it. I'm just explaining what they
yeah,
said earlier.
I get that you bringing that stuff up makes sense because we're supposed to live in the world of this movie and we're supposed to understand, like, this is the rules that have been set up, and so
In the rules,
but the
of
rules
the
make no sense
universe-
to me.
In
Yeah.
the rules of the universe, they make sense. If
Yeah.
if the events in this movie happened tomorrow, you're probably right.
Yeah.
It would play out the way you're saying.
I would love for, yeah. I I do like this that there's these future vehicles and everything, but they still have like art on the side. It's like so like World War II. I think it's just so rad.
Yeah, exactly right.
I quote this part to my wife a lot too. This is Papa Dragon.
You do not say
I
that
do.
to her. Oh my
I
god.
do. I'm not joking.
And then I slapped the slap bracelet on her.
Dude, stop. Oh my god, that's so funny. Oh my god. We get a good insight into your home life there.
So I don't remember if I said, but I used to work at a Sears in the electronic department, and we watched this movie over and over and over. So yeah, I have most of this ingrained into my very DNA. So yeah, I quote it all the time to her. I want to be home in time for dinner.
Ah,
I think this is another one of the really impressive visual parts of this movie when they start bombing the tree, and just like how it crumbles apart and all the explosives interacting with it. I think is just, it's so well done.
Well, yeah, and right after this, another really good Zoe Saldana scene.
Yeah.
Because she's the only real actress in this whole movie.
I also really like that they capture the scale of the tree, because it's kind of difficult to tell how big the tree is, but like in that shot where you get to see like these crafts next to the tree, and like he looks up and he's like, that was one big goddamn tree or whatever.
Yeah.
You really capture the scale of it.
Which is, yeah, that's a tough thing to do. Well, I mean, because you've seen people inside these aircraft, and so you know how
Yeah.
big a person is to compare to the
Well,
aircraft.
that's-
And then when you see the aircraft next to it and they're dwarfed, you're right. It sets up the scale
It's
well.
also kind of difficult inside the tree because our brains kind of trick us. The Na'vi are like 10 or 12 feet tall, but inside the tree, when it's just a bunch of Na'vi and there's no humans, I think my brain certainly interprets them as like regular human-sized
You're
aliens,
for sure right about that. I do forget.
but they're giant.
It's when I forget about it the whole movie until they're by a person, and
Yep.
then I'm like, oh yeah, these are like giant people, like they're huge. Because you get like kind of a sense of scale when like way back at the beginning of the movie where the arrows are stuck in the tires, and you were talking about that.
Yeah.
And the arrows are humongous.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's like you do tend to forget because they don't have enough interaction between humans and Na'vi, I think, to let you remember that they're big.
Yeah.
I think that's a something I would have liked to see more of. Again, because I don't understand why the humans just don't interact with them in the first place. But
yeah, exactly.
Maybe they didn't have the humans interact with them because of the difference in scale. And it would be weird if Sigourney Weaver
think,
was like teaching the children, and the children are her size.
I just think, like, do you think the Pilgrims showed up? They saw Native Americans and they're like, "Fuck, like we don't look like them at all." Like,
I mean, that was a long time ago. I'm sure
But
no
I'm
one
saying,
thought
but-
that way.
well, I'm just saying, like, why would you think that way now? Like, what in your brain would have changed to be like, we should be tall and blue if we're gonna interact with these people?
I don't
It's like I'm
know.
just saying, it's like people.
I could see wanting to
if
interact
you-
with an alien species different than like an alien group of humans.
I can imagine having first contact with some species now, some alien species now, and being like, we better look like them, otherwise this is not gonna work. Like, I just think that you would figure it out. People interact with each other all the time. I don't know why it'd be any different to try and figure out how to make it work. There's so many movies like Arrival, which is one of my favorite like kind of first contact movies.
Yeah.
And it's they bring in they bring in like scientists and stuff. They bring in like a linguist and a physicist to figure out how to communicate with the aliens in that movie.
Yeah.
They don't try to dress up like heptapods, which is like what the aliens look like.
Yeah.
They don't try to do any gimmicky thing. They just literally try to decode each other's languages.
Yeah.
And through that the alien characters and the human characters like form a relationship with each other.
Yeah.
There is no kind of nonsense avatars.
Yeah, or like in Independence Day when they
Yeah.
try to make contact with the aliens and they bring the helicopter with all the flashing lights on it.
Yeah, like something like that. Yeah,
It'll be
yeah.
interesting
'Cause
when
they-
the day comes and humans actually make contact with an alien.
And again,
it'll
this
be
is a-
interesting to see how we actually do
Yeah.
it.
Again, this is a wacky sci-fi movie. Everything about it, I'm just like the Avatar part of this movie makes no sense. Like
Yeah.
the title of the movie, that part of the movie makes no sense to me. Like,
Yeah.
just be people. Like, why wouldn't you just be people?
They should just name the movie People instead of Avatar.
Yeah, people. That would be. I'll watch that movie. I want to watch that. I like that he's just drinking coffee, like just another day in the like. This is what he's been waiting for. Like, yeah, let me at him.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys have seen Futurama. There's a couple episodes where take place on Mars, and there's like Martians there, and they have like really flat noses, which is what Natiri's dad looks like. He looks like a Martian from Futurama. That's what I think every time. Every time I see his face, because he's like a really wide, flat nose, and he looks like one of the Martians from Futurama. Which is funny because the Martians from Futurama are these allegories for Native Americans. They're like very tribal, very. It's obvious that that's what they're supposed to be aligned with and everything. It's pretty funny.
Did you see that quick zoom, Calvin?
Oh yeah, I felt it.
It was really good. That is one of my favorite shots, though, when like the tree starts to crumble and like shifts. But the quick zoom is really cheap. I think I hate it.
I think it's weird seeing practical kind of filmmaking techniques in a like a virtual scene because like none of this is real. So it is weird to see like a quick zoom thing like that or like seeing like shaky cam and stuff and where you.
It ruins the illusion because
Yeah,
if you were
yeah.
so
It's like why would they have a camera? Because it makes you think that there's someone maybe in a helicopter
Right.
flying behind them filming this, and they do a zoom in shot
Yeah.
or something like that.
So I was listening to a review for Pacific Rim, and the first Pacific Rim has a lot of the shots where they're fighting the monsters and the robots or whatever. The shots are filmed from like a human's perspective, like they're on the ground or something.
Yeah, which makes sense.
But the second one has a lot of shots that are like sort of ethereal. Like it would be an impossible shot for a human
It's
to
like
get.
they have. It's like they're trying to film it like it's practically filmed.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And it ruins the illusion of the second movie, and the
Yeah.
first one is filmed with way more heart in it, and it's more realistic.
It is odd. Yeah. There are so many.
Because it's not something you really notice, but like subconsciously you're like, man, that first one was filmed better.
Yeah.
But then like it's kind of hard to like actually put into words.
I mean, I brought it up when we were talking about Fellowship of the Ring, and I really like noticing when like whatever filmmaking technique you have changes.
Mhm.
So there's some scenes that are like filmed with a not shake cam, like handheld cam. Like
Yeah.
when they're fighting in Moria, it's like all handheld. And then there's some shots in like the Shire, which is like a more peaceful, kind of suburban area, and they're all filmed on like stable tripods or it's like a boom. It's all very calculated, specific shots they want to have. That it's the camera goes a certain way and it's stable the whole time, and it all conveys kind of a different tone for whatever scene it's in. In this, it's like it just seems to like bounce around too much for me. Like we were talking about slow mo earlier, and then we get these like snap zooms, and nothing about this seems cohesive, and it doesn't seem to lend itself to whatever kind of storytelling it's trying to do in the scene. And especially the snap zooms, because it's like you don't need to do that. It's a virtual scene.
Yeah.
You don't need to film it like it's like because it does. It makes it look like they have someone with a camera who is zooming in, and why would you ever do that?
Calvin, is that all accurate?
Yeah, I
The
mean,
the
yeah.
zoom technology?
It's just it's just out of place.
I mean, it seems like if you're going to change your filming technique for a particular shot, it should be to facilitate a different emotion that you're trying to get across, right?
I mean, not necessarily an emotion, but a tone or an atmosphere
Sure,
or a
yeah.
perspective. But it doesn't seem to be any of those things. It seems to want to be an intense narrative at some points, and then also like an action documentary.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm cutting in, but this is the scene I'm talking about. This is like her best scene, where she's just like so mad. It's the only scene that feels real in this whole movie.
I like her ears. Like the ears of their like species react to like the different emotions that they're feeling, which I think
Yeah.
is just a cool attention to detail.
And here you go. What's his name?
The guy from Friends, best actor.
What's his name?
Guy from Friends. Giovanni something?
Oh, here we go. See, and now it's like weird slow mo, like
Yeah.
even weirder. It's like, whoa.
There's no reason for it.
So that is slow mo that's filmed on a regular camera and then slowed down. That's not slow mo that's filmed on like a higher speed camera. That's why it looks like blurry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super grainy.
Yeah, and it's white. Like there's so many different things going on in this movie. Like there's so many different filming styles. And now like look at the way the light is and everything. It's the way the colors aren't saturated anymore. It's just so. This movie is so fucking all over the place.
Yeah.
Like all the colors are completely muted now.
Well, I mean, they could be doing that for like what I was saying with like the Coraline thing. Like this is to really show like the difference in like the way that the humans see things and the way that the
But it's
Na'vi see
different.
things.
It's different than what it was even a moment ago.
But now
they're
it's the
like
same.
they're creeping it up a
Yeah,
little
but
bit
see
more
now
and
look
more.
at how jarring this is. Now you have a really robust scene with so many colors, and you have so much.
That's the point.
going-
That's the contrast I believe that that's the contrast that they were going for.
I get that they want a contrast. I think it's the it's too much.
Really?
It's too much.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
they go
because
through
they-
this tough time or whatever, and now you get back to like the normal tone of the movie. It's, I think, a really abrupt tone change in lighting, color, and film style.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So see, going to this now, they're all in this prison cell. Everything where they were shutting down the system and punching Norman or whatever. They desaturated everything.
Yeah.
And I don't know why she hasn't been court-martialed already for flying off in the middle of an engagement.
Because she didn't sign up for this shit.
Yeah. of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, that's a good point. Why
didn't
is
sign up for
why is she
this.
there? She should have been in big trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that's
What is her
the thing,
name? She's from Fast and Furious. What is her name?
Helicopter pilot.
I want to
right?
say Hernandez.
I think her name is Pilot One.
Pilot One.
That's what she's credited as.
I don't like her at all.
But
She's
yeah,
not
it
even
was
wearing
just
sunglasses
weird, like,
anymore, though. I don't know what role she is. She took
Yeah,
off the sunglasses.
who is
Her
she
name is
even?
Trudy Chacon.
Not true.
That's the name of her character. The actress is Michelle Rodriguez.
Rodriguez, yeah. Yeah, I don't like her.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't even remember when her character got introduced, and I don't even remember her saying her name. So I don't know how you would know that her name was Trudy.
Yeah, right.
Classic Trudy.
Why, man?
Maybe a scene. That
Look
just
at
got
Sigourney Weaver. Like, I'll run slowly behind wheelchair guy here. Like,
Yeah.
just go ahead.
She's trying so hard to stay behind him, yeah.
She's like, okay, this is the lead character in the movie. Better stay behind him, even though it makes no sense.
Yeah, like, oh, a door. Gotta run ahead and get that for you, huh? Oh, there you go, Chacon. T.
Oh, is it okay? I wasn't. Yeah.
But still, it's just a T. So unless somebody said Trudy somewhere else, you wouldn't know.
What did I
Oh,
say?
I've never
Chacon?
noticed that. I've seen this movie 1,000 times. I've never noticed that. Her name's on the ship.
Look at that.
She bought the ship.
No, that's like a normal thing.
No, she owns it.
No, pilots have their names on aircraft.
She bought it.
Have you never seen Top Gun? It says
It was in the
it says
commentary.
Maverick on it.
No, she bought it.
Yeah, it is. I can't imagine watching the commentary for this.
I'm sure it's
like,
exactly like what we're doing.
I bet the entire commentary is just James Cameron just like masturbating. while he
Masturbating,
watches
yeah.
this. He's just like, oh fuck yes, like he's just edging himself every scene.
I like when the bad guy, the colonel guy, leaves and he just yells "mask on" and he just like opens the door, just like no, he's got no chill. I love it.
You know what I will say is this, he really embraces this character.
I think he does a good job. His character might not make
so
a lot of sense.
That's Stephen Lang. I don't know if he was also in that movie. Don't make a sound or be very quiet. What is it called?
Oh yeah, he's the blind guy and
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
kids go into his
yeah,
house.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's in that movie. He's in that movie. He's good in that movie.
Yeah.
I like him. He's just
I really like
I
this line
think he knows that this movie or this role is like a just one dimensional, but he leans into it, and which I can appreciate. And, you know, if you're gonna
This is
if I'm gonna
ruin
praise
it.
any performance, I think his is fine, just
Yeah.
because he like absolutely goes all out and like
Yeah.
plays this character well. Like, but it's just such a bad character that it's like, ugh, who cares?
I wish he was actually even a little bit more, psychotic.
He's
They
pretty
should have,
psychotic.
you know what? They should have gotten Nicolas Cage to play him, and then it would have been fucking wild.
Yeah, exactly. Smarmy and with that hint of violence
That
as
would have
well.
been amazing.
The hint of manic energy.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been.
That is an amazing way to describe Nicolas Cage. Manic
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
that's really good.
That would be like I don't know. I haven't seen Lord of War. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with Jared Leto's in it. Yeah.
But I'd imagine that he would be.
Oh, that's a great movie. I really like that movie a lot.
I need to watch that because I've heard it's really good too, and I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that seems like the ideal
National
Nicolas
Treasure
Cage.
though, that was a good movie. National Treasure.
So
His
now
best
we've-
performance.
So, so their big plan is they're gonna steal this thing and move it somewhere secret, and they're gonna start like a revolution with the Na'vi,
I don't
right?
know
Like
if
that's the
they-
goal here.
I don't know if they have that planned out. I think that they know that they need this. They need their Avatar station to do anything though, so I think that they at least thought that far. I don't think
Right.
that they've planned a revolution yet though, because they like. Those
I
are
mean,
2
that's
minutes.
basically.
I mean, that's what we're coming
it's
up
half
on.
baked,
We know
but it
it's-
has to be.
We
what
know
they're
it's going to
thinking.
happen, but I don't think our characters have figured that out
And
yet.
we got foreshadowed to this because of my amazing insights where I remembered Taruk Maktow. And so that's how we're going to get everyone together, I bet.
I think anyone who's seen the movie before knows that that's foreshadowing, Connor.
That's what I'm saying. This is you could have not seen the movie and you would have known what was gonna happen.
Taruk Maktal, the Bionicle, is going to come back. yeah.
Stop, dude. He's not a Bionicle.
Everything is a Bionicle, and everything else is a Transformer.
Dude, we should review one of the
Bionicle
the
movies, they're so
Bionicle,
good.
the golden mask
The Golden
Bionicle.
Mask, yeah. Oh my gosh, Calvin,
Do that, dude.
your head would explode
Would
if you
it
had to watch
explode?
that.
What kind of explode?
A golden mask explode.
Oh my gosh.
Jaden would love that.
That would be really funny.
Golden mask
So I like
explode.
I like
don't
that they
need to
like
hear any more of your bedroom talk.
I like that they. So Sully tells them to go here because he knows like this is where they would go to like this other sacred place for them, and so you know it's not the most profound character development or anything like that. But I like that he knows like he's the one who's like I know where they're at. Like we should go here. I'll go and like be the first to kind of liaison with them again.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's like, I mean, it's because no, I mean, at this point, the way the movie has been set up is like no one else can do anything except him. Like no one can go contact them. No one else can, seek aid. No one else can communicate. It's just, it's really, I mean, it kind
Which
of,
is like it's enforcing that
Yeah.
like destiny thing all over again.
and
yeah.
that's what we were talking about. It's like it's frustrating because this is a one point of view movie, and
And I don't think that that's particularly bad because yeah, anyone who's seen a movie before like understands those tropes that like, oh, this is destiny. He's the one. He's gonna bring balance to the world or whatever. I don't.
you're
think
literally
that's-
describing like I think in a way you're talking about like because Lord of the Rings is that way. Like Frodo is the one. Frodo is this character.
Lord of the Rings, The Matrix, Harry
But-
Potter. There's so many
but
movies
there,
that
but
do
there,
that.
but there are other characters. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. There's so many
Yeah.
other movies that do this same story
Mhm.
1,000 times better. Like, because you care about the other characters in those movies,
Yeah.
and they can also do things within that world that matter. The only person who can do anything in this movie is Sully's character. He's the
Sure.
only one.
It's also worth noting that this is only the first one, and in the other movies, the dodgeball guy might have a bigger role, and you might get more
I thought you said
development.
he died. I thought he
no,
dies.
his avatar dies, but he stays on the planet as a human.
Mm.
So it's and like Sigourney Weaver might come back because the rules of this universe aren't clear cut. So it's worth acknowledging that there's a larger series.
This part
At
is.
work.
I like this
I
because
like
he,
this too. It's just
so
smart.
so he knows that like he's pretty much not welcome in like that culture anymore.
Yeah.
And so his only way to get back in is to bring the big boy in the sky in.
And I like that he uses like this like military idea, like this thing's the biggest thing in the sky. Why would it be worried about what's coming from
yeah,
above?
it's
That's
a neat,
really
it's
smart.
a neat bit
Because his brother, the scientist, wouldn't think to do that, which I think is really clever.
yeah. I mean, I think any normal person would probably think to fly higher.
I
but-
wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't.
Oh, okay, well. But it is cool that this is kind of how he gets back in the good graces with them, is like, because he's this. It's like he's this sort of savior.
Yeah.
He's the only one who can do this. He's the only guy who can be Taruk Maktal. You know,
also
he's
like that,
he's
like-
the only one, and so of course he does it because
Yeah.
it's like a boring movie and it's lazy. But
I-
for the narrative, like it makes sense that this is what his next move would be, because
Yeah.
it wouldn't make sense for him to just go back on his own and try to like convince them to be like, hey, we need to do this thing, or you guys need to listen to me. It only makes sense if he binds to this big flying dragon.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it is interesting. Like a lot of the criticism that comes from movies like these, the
God,
the idea of
textures
the
look so
of
good.
the white savior coming to save all of the stupid people, like they couldn't possibly free themselves from this with the exact same technology. So it's interesting.
No, that's a
that
good
way.
point. It's like why didn't one of them become Taruk Maktal? Why didn't one of them unite all these tribes together? Why is it him? It's just that's what I'm saying. It's like this movie is so fucking lazy.
Yeah. They should have just recast Kevin Costner. Oh, I love you now, even though my dad is dead. Panting softly.
Subtitles are so good.
It almost
He
feels like
shakes her hand.
it almost feels like you could have taken like the Navi out of the movie entirely and made it just about Sully, who like so I think him falling in love with Natiri, you could have replaced that with just him falling in love with the land and loving this place so much, and it would have been the same story.
Yeah, I do think you would
Because
have lost
because
a
Sully
little
is
bit
the only character in this movie.
of that. Yeah, in the only perspective.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everything is his point of view. Like it could have just been him like combating these, you know, capitalists trying to take all this stuff, and it could have just been a solo story, and it would have been essentially the same thing because he's the only one that matters in this movie. I mean, I'm exaggerating because obviously it's like better with the Navi in it, but it's like
with characters and emotion.
but it's
those
like,
things
but
are a
it's
little
like,
more.
but it's like the movie's just so much about him. It's like no
And
one else
again,
matters in this
I
movie.
think I think this movie will be better after the other movies come out and the characters get more development in those movies also.
I think this one will be better just because the other ones will be so much worse.
Is that something positive? Can we write that down? That counts.
I'm counting that, so I'm up to 2. I need you to come with 4 more real quick, or I'm losing this bet.
In the middle of
We're in the third act now. We're closing in on the end.
We're at the climax.
Yeah.
Well, look, they have her body wrapped in leaves to keep her decency. I don't know why she didn't just leave her in her clothes.
Because
Which
the
the-
other Navis are
But
so
the Navi,
decent.
yeah, the Navi are practically naked. Why does it matter? And look at how
Well, she's wearing her little Stanford T-shirt in the first place. Why not at least lay her to rest with her Stanford T-shirt?
The Stanford T-shirt's already on the Avatar. Why'd they take? Oh my gosh.
So they
The
did.
Avatar's naked too. I didn't.
Yeah.
I thought it would have the clothes on.
Who cares about that nudity? I don't
I
care.
don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait,
That's
so
the
her
whole
avatar
problem
was
with
at the tree when it got exploded. So they went back and recovered
Yeah,
her avatar.
No. They show it when they're kind of when they're retreating away to this like sacred
did
tree.
they? Okay.
Show her. She's on like a kind of like a little gurney.
Yeah,
type
they
thing.
made,
They drag her
literally-
away.
Yeah,
Okay.
they literally constructed a sled when their entire tree is burning down to be sure that they get this body.
Gotcha.
In,
Like what they did in
a few minutes.
Like what they did in King Kong versus Godzilla when they like took King Kong with the helicopters.
Oh my God.
I'm sure that's what happened.
I can't wait to talk
That
about
is
that
what
movie with you,
happened. That
Calvin.
movie is brutal.
It is off all of the walls.
I want to. Yeah, I can't stand that.
Stay tuned. We're gonna talk about Godzilla versus Kong later.
I don't want to talk about that movie without talking about the first. I guess because you have Kong Skull Island, then you have Godzilla, and then you have Godzilla King of the Monsters. And I
dude.
think you have to talk about all those movies in the same context because Godzilla vs Kong is completely in a different fucking world
Yeah.
than the other movie. Like there is nothing similar about them.
Yeah.
That movie should have been a standalone movie. It has nothing to do with the other
So
films.
we're gonna have like a 24-hour podcast
Oh
where
my
we just
God.
marathon all of these movies. It's gonna be great.
So yeah. And here we go. We're gonna have the cool wormhole thing
This
again.
is oh, I thought this was like.
Oh,
the,
we don't.
Yeah, we don't have.
Okay, I think it's to signify it didn't work.
Oh.
So every time the link is made, they go through that wormhole, and it didn't happen this time.
Calvin is a wormhole, just a wormhole.
I don't even know what you mean by that.
She's with Yahweh now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just another lazy term that they use, like unobtainium, right? Because that's what they're.
Do
trying
they
to-
call it?
They're not calling
It's,
her
they
Yahweh.
don't call it
Connor's
Yahweh.
just been.
It's not Yahweh, but it's very similar.
I just say Yahweh
Iwa.
because that's like a
Iwa.
catch-all. That's
AY.
oh Yahweh.
Iwa,
Yahweh is
yeah.
just a catch-all for God.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
And
it's
so
a
I-
lazy
yeah,
comparison.
so
because
I'm
Iwa
just-
is like
yeah.
Yahweh. You know?
I'm just saying it because I don't remember what they say,
They just
and I
moved a couple syllables around.
So I just know that Yahweh is kind of your catch-all. Because this is such a lazily written movie that they didn't make it. I don't know. Like, why would they have a same sounding thing? Call it like Draxus or something. Make it sound crazy.
Drax is
Drax.
the All Father.
Yeah.
The god tree, Draxus.
And this is our all mother tree, IKEA.
So this is why I hope they don't bring her back. This is the only death scene in the movie that I think kind of really matters.
Well,
Isn't it
except
the-
for when the
Well, I
corporal
guess,
dies.
I
Yeah, I guess
the-
her
I guess the dad dies. But again, you don't.
It's
you
very
don't-
Chief.
brief.
You don't interact with
Yeah.
the dad enough. And,
Oh, and the
the-
other guy dies. The guy that
Yeah.
Neytiri was supposed to be. I don't even know his name. Yatu Khan, I think.
I think it's Devin.
No, it's Yatu Khan. Yatu Khan, I think. Yeah. Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Well, Sigourney Weaver's character. I mean, first of all, she's got so much star power, so you just care about Sigourney Weaver, kind of regardless.
Yeah.
But she's also the character you probably know the most out of the ones who do die. So that's why I think like her death scene is like matters, and it's sort of to show like. I think it's cool because it shows like even a human can connect with whatever this kind of world Spirit is.
Yeah.
It's not just the Na'vi who have like that physical connection. Like she also like manages to physically connect with them as well.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why her death kind of matters, where she's like, I'm there, like I feel her or whatever.
Yeah.
I think part of why it also affects us too is like how actors function in the collective understanding of who they are, like
Yeah.
film to film. Like I've seen her in other things that have like more, oh, she was the voice in Finding Nemo too, like that, that
Was she?
yeah,
Yeah,
there's like
she is.
she's like a recording for the
Yeah.
aquarium.
Yeah, it's like all fish are rehabilitated and released back to the wild. It's like she says something like that.
And I remember that. Now I see it in her death in this film.
You know what I think about her most recently is she does Planet Earth. She does so BBC has David Attenborough that does it, who's better I think, but the American version is Sigourney Weaver, who's also great. But I just think about her in that. How about being like connected with the Earth, and she's talking about animals and different habitats and all that stuff, and I think about her in Planet Earth.
I can only think about her in Alien. That's all I can think about.
Well, that's like that's her big one.
I know
so.
that's the obvious answer.
Yeah.
But yeah.
A lot of parallels between that movie and this movie, because there are aliens in Alien, and then there are also aliens in this movie as well.
Yeah, ain't
That's probably the only reason why she got cast.
So stupid like that.
Avatar is the unofficial sequel to Alien.
I
No,
wonder,
there is an official sequel to Alien.
Calvin, did you, when you were explaining why this was like your favorite movie when you were going to film school, were you ever like, yeah, but have you ever thought like on Pandora, maybe we're the aliens? Did you ever say anything like profound like that?
I was not nearly woke enough to come to that conclusion.
So I've always had this idea for a movie. I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I always thought it would be really cool to see a movie about humans invading an alien planet, and not like this, where it's like a story movie, but something more like Battle LA, that's like an action
So
movie.
I thought that too, but where the humans are like in armor and stuff, so you don't know they're humans
Sure.
until they're revealed later, and then you're like, oh my god,
Oh,
like you grow.
Twilight Zone.
So you grow like sympathy for the alien, like not the aliens, but like the
Yeah.
characters that native to the planet. You grow
Yeah.
sympathy for them, and then all of a
Well,
sudden
yeah,
you find
aliens.
out that humans are the ones attacking.
I
You're
see.
like,
Yeah.
oh no.
But like this hypothetical movie, I've always thought about it would be from like the aliens' perspective, and I always thought that I want to watch a movie like that, and I hope someday someone makes a movie like that, because it wouldn't be like this. Like Avatar is like it's like a similar comparison, but I want something more gritty and more like dark,
Yeah,
more actiony. I
I
always thought
agree.
that would be a really cool movie.
So here we're going to they're about to start their big launch. There's about, because all the Na'vi have gathered together now, because you got Taruk Maktal.
This is my other favorite speech I like to quote to my wife. I'm not joking.
What is a normal day like in your house?
It's a lot of movie quotes.
Oh, God.
Oh my gosh.
We're watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air right now. It's a lot of Will Smith quotes. So.
People start randomly dancing.
Yeah. Will Smith enters the room like, whoa, be some kind of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
My God. I can only imagine how your children are going to turn out.
Man.
They just like don't have a basis for like the English language. They just have like these movie phrases.
These idioms
can't
from
wait.
shows.
Yeah, like
and-
they don't actually know hello. They just like.
What do they say in movies for hello?
Yeah, exactly. Like just like.
So I kind of like this part. If I want to, let's be a little optimistic for a second here. I think that morale and like a strong leader can cause people to do maybe things that are against like the best interest of like either themselves or the planet or whatever they're doing right now. And I think that it's cool that this major or this colonel has like gotten these people who really like shouldn't want to fight right now. Like they already won, they got the tree, but he's like, let's go wipe them out. They're all gathered here. We got the intel. Like let's take care of business. And I think that there are plenty of people who kind of you can see rally behind someone and go and do a bad thing because they think it's right, even though it's in the context of the movie it's clearly wrong. But I think that happens in real life too. So I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a in all of this movie where there's so much stuff where I'm just like, that makes no sense. That's a scene where I'm like, that kind of makes sense. Like you could rally people to some cause that's probably wrong, and they'll probably get behind it. And I
Yeah,
think that a lot of people do. And I'm not counting myself against that. I'm sure I've done wrong things before because I thought the person who was saying it was probably right. I'm not not saying that any certain people are prone to that or I'm innocent of it. I'm just saying it's not something that I think is like impossible.
Yeah.
Like that's a part of the movie. I'm like, yeah, people would get behind that and they would want to go like, let's wipe them out. I believe that would happen.
Yeah, that's not fiction.
Yeah, and I mean like identity politics in general.
Mhm.
I mean that's a great example of it.
Assigning
You know.
nice words to this crappy movie.
Yeah, exactly. Like I mean, when you don't have any other option, too, it's really easy to make yourself believe.
I kind of like this scene where like Jake's kind of desperate to like get every little bit of. He's trying to get like even this like spirit on his side, even though he like doesn't believe in it. And then Natiri comes by and she's like, "Don't bother. He won't. Not for war. He won't respond to that. You know."
Is
It's
it
also
he or
like-
she? I thought it was a she.
The deity, whatever, the non-binary deity that they worship, sure.
Yeah, it's just a really melodramatic soliloquy, like straight out of Hamlet, basically.
Hamlet's classic, so this is
Yeah.
good. Are you saying
No.
something
This
positive?
this must be good because it's
because it's based on
Because it's a-
Hamlet.
yeah,
it's
because it has,
adjacent. It's adjacent to Hamlet, so it must be good.
yeah, exactly. I don't know.
I think it's something positive. You should write that down.
I'm not calling it positive.
I mean, the
Is
bets
Hamlet
the bets
to
is
be or
McKinnon,
not
not
to be?
you.
Is that Hamlet?
I
No, that's
honestly
Shakespeare.
don't know, but I'm
To
just
be
saying
or
it's
not
like
to be?
It's
I'm just saying
Shakespeare.
like the
What's the
soliloquy.
skull?
Shakespeare.
No, but like Shakespeare wrote it, but the story is called.
Oh fuck! Didn't Shakespeare write Hamlet?
Yes.
Oh my god, I'm so dumb.
The Shakespeare.
I thought it was David Hamlet that wrote it.
I thought you were just messing with him.
No, I was just being stupid as well.
Jeez.
It was Arthur Hamlet wrote it. I thought.
Whenever I think of that, I think about the
Oh
Grim
my god, I'm so dumb.
I think about the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy because Mandy's holding the Grim Reaper's
Oh,
skull,
yeah,
and she's
yeah.
like, "To be or not to be." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "That's so clever." It's a good show.
I like that they're back together. They're better when they're together.
I don't think
Because
that they were
they're-
apart for long enough.
Yeah.
I thought they got back together way too easily because he just shows up with the
He's
big red dragon, and like that's it. Like
you
That was like a day.
underestimate the power of Taruk Maktal. She's swooning.
Papa Dragon.
Papa Dragon.
She's swooning. Okay, so that's these two characters reflecting their shadow self within each other.
God.
You have Papa Dragon,
No.
and Jungian is just going on and on about the correlation between these two characters and the circle jerk that happens between them. This movie is about
The Union Circle Jerk.
this movie is about Papa Dragon and Taruk Maktal and their shadow selves reflected in one another.
No.
That was almost pretentious enough, Connor. You were really close.
Dude, wait till we get into Lighthouse. That's
Oh, yeah,
that's
we're
the big
gonna-
one.
Oh man, I can't
For
wait.
anybody that's actually going to listen to this, like wait until we actually get back to your regular
anyone-
scheduled programming.
For anyone who made it 2 hours into this nonsense.
And to be fair, I like doing this. I think this is a cool little change of pace for us. I'm cool with doing that.
Yeah. Even just for posterity's sake.
I like that he's got a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, if
So
you're
he's not-
following
he's-
along
he's-
with us, we're at they're all flying now, and about to. Oh,
Here
this
he
is
goes.
Papa
This is
Dragon.
Papa
There you
Dragon.
go.
I want this mission high and tight. I want to be home in time for dinner. So good.
Is that what you say like when you guys go out for like groceries? You're like, come on, Lenina, like I want this mission high and tight.
Dude, my wife hates me. Also, we haven't said it, but these robots make me want to watch The Matrix. And they're just a direct ripoff, except in this movie they make more sense, whereas in The Matrix they're just exposed humans in these suits that have no protection.
I like to
and
think
they
that-
are the worst design. But in this movie, I like them.
I like to think that in the Matrix that humans in Zion have much less resources than these people do. That's why I'm okay with like the mechs in that because they're like
The mechs don't look like a lack of resources. It looks like a lack of like safety.
But the thing is, I don't care because that movie is badass and it's well done, and I care about the characters. I care about the characters
And
in the
this-
mech suits, and
yeah.
and so it doesn't matter to me that the suits don't like
And this is what
make protective sense
This is
because
like
I
what I
just
said-
love the characters in that movie.
Right. And this is like what I said earlier when people saw Matrix Revolution the first time, they didn't leave the theater thinking those mechs are dumb, they don't make any sense. People left thinking like, "Oh, this was a nice conclusion to the story I was invested in."
I agree with that.
Sandbags? Did they have sandbags around?
They're explosive.
They have them on, no. They have sandbags on the top of the ships for
Yeah,
protection because
around the. What?
Oh, around the turret to
Yeah.
block the arrows. Which
Yeah, but if they bank at all, that doesn't even make any sense. You
So-
could have just
other thing about the arrows, they
Mm.
said in the beginning, the speech that the corporal gives about the everything that flies and
It's a
crawls.
colonel. It's a colonel.
Whatever.
Corporal is a way different
The
rank.
speech that he gives, he says that the venoms are dipped in poison that will stop your heart in 1 minute or whatever. It never comes up in this whole movie. That's irrelevant detail.
yeah, absolutely. Also, the fact that their arrows are the size of spears, like
Yeah.
if it hits you,
You're
gonna-
dead anyways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Who cares
Who
about
cares
the
how much
venom?
toxin it was
Yeah,
tipped
you
in?
just lost like 30% of your
If you
torso.
get if you get thumped, you're done.
Usually,
the
usually when like a detail like that is in a scene, it comes up later, but just it never does, and it always bothered me
So-
watching this
So they do it in this area on purpose. The flux capacitor,
because their stuff doesn't work.
because their
navigation.
instruments don't work. Right,
Yeah.
right. So okay, that's strategic. That's smart. I like that.
And this is I like the world building a little bit. I like that this planet has like floating rocks. It's kind of neat. I always liked it.
There is no shortage of us talking about how we like the way this movie looks
Yeah.
and the way the world is.
Not just how it looks. I think it's a creative idea.
And I think it's kind of cool. They've got like the little communicators that they have on their necks.
Yeah.
So it's like I like the kind of melding of
you-
technology now.
Did you just see what the subtitle said?
No.
It all said ululating. Like that was how they scream, ululating.
I'm gonna start quoting that to my wife.
Yeah. Baby, I'm gonna leave you ululating
Oh,
here. Just-
Oh gosh.
Dude, I love this dragon.
These are cool scenes.
He's an absolute beast.
Yeah, look
That
at
is a
that. Like,
big arrow, yeah.
He's certainly gonna die in a minute from that neurotoxin.
Yeah.
If the spear don't get you, the toxin will. Just slow motion again. Yep, doesn't matter. Doesn't do anything.
Okay, but that is okay to me because the cut to that scene, it started in slow motion and ended in slow motion, and so I'm okay with that. It's
well,
when
every
it
scene
goes.
starts and ends in slow motion. Every scene does.
No.
Yeah.
No, the parts with Sully where he's like being chased by the big jaguar, it goes from normal speed, slows down, and then goes back to normal speed, or or
Sure.
it starts at slow speed and then goes fast again.
I don't see a
If
difference.
you do a
but-
take, I think if you do a take all at one speed, just keep it at one speed. I think it's weird to
Mhm.
change it.
Okay.
Absolute mayhem.
I like that scream. Like it's
Like,
no,
I mean, I won't deny that this doesn't look cool. It looks cool as
it
fuck.
looks cool. Yeah.
And it is kind of neat that
So
you know
big.
it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier. Where, like, it'd be cool to see like a movie where humans invade a planet.
Yeah. Because this
'Cause-
isn't
'cause
an
in-
invasion
yeah.
movie. Most of the movie is not about the
Yeah.
invasion. I want to see a movie like Battle LA, where it's
Yeah.
like the whole movie is
But,
about
but,
the invasion.
but this part is like a battle between humans, where humans are the bad guys in this.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of it is from the perspective of the Na'vi. Is like the
Because you sympathize with the Na'vi.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't sympathize with the humans.
Exactly.
At all. Yeah.
and so it is a neat kind of take on kind of aliens versus people.
Yeah.
'Cause in all those stories, the humans are the underdog, and they need to find a way to rise up and defeat these
Yeah.
invaders. And it's the exact opposite in this, and I like that.
For sure.
I also just like, I feel like this thing would have been lit up for sure.
For sure. I like the Michelle Rodriguez. Her plane is like
Yeah,
all
she's
painted up and
yeah.
stuff.
It is kind of cool that like she's a little.
I think this line is really funny too that she says. You're not the only one with a gun, bitch.
Oh, there's some Jungian.
I don't remember the scene going on for this long. That was kind of boring. That went on forever. It felt like.
Oh, and then she's like, "I'm out of this one, boys."
Yep, she dies real quick.
Did she die?
Yeah, she
No.
dies.
No.
I
Yes,
just thought she kind of
dies.
crash lands.
No, she dies. She dies.
Oh no, does this critter go down? Oh no. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
because this is where she gets the
the
panther.
jaguar, yeah.
Oh no, poor iguana.
Which sucks too, because then the jaguar dies, which is a real shame.
Dude, she's got to stop sacrificing these animals.
Yeah, she sucks. look how I like the
See, now it's
textures and
slow-mo,
stuff. That wasn't even slow mo.
It's slow mo right now.
No, it's not.
It literally is. But okay, so like it's fine here. So like movies like Saving Private Ryan, in scenes like this, they do them slow mo like that.
I think that this is a
Adds a
good
bit of
way
attention
to
to
use
it. So
slow motion.
That's what I was gonna say. This is a good time that
Also,
they did it.
I like this part because you get to see that comparison in size again. You get to see how giant the Na'vi are compared to the
Just-
humans. He's just wailing. He just smacked that guy
Yeah.
with his bow and just like shattered his neck. Probably.
Absolutely not fucking around.
Yeah. Also, I kind of think that the effects look a little worse when they're in slow motion because like that zoom up on his face looked a little.
You know what
goofy,
I kind of
thought.
think? I kind of think when they're with people,
The effects
they
are
look
worse.
worse.
Interesting. Yeah.
Which I think is true of most visual effects.
Usually,
is
yeah.
when you have to put them against a person or something real.
Well, I don't think
That's
that,
when you really start to notice. It's kind of where they fall apart.
I don't think he looked worse. I just think that his motion looked weird in slow motion.
Yeah. Oh no, you might be right. She
I know
does
I'm
die.
right. I've seen this movie 1,000 times. And then yeah, and then he dies in slow motion, but then he comes out in like fast.
That's what I'm saying. It's
Normal speed.
Oh man, she does. She's absolutely blowed
She
up.
lit up, dude. And then the horse is on fire. Yeah, like
His name is
Rogue
Rogue
One.
One.
You
Oh my
copy?
God. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that till just
This is
now.
the unofficial sequel to Star Wars.
Yeah, it would have to be a sequel because Rogue One took place a long, long time ago.
Yeah,
So yeah, you're right. This would be the sequel.
yeah.
This is the original episode 7.
Wow, I had never noticed that he called himself Rogue One.
I've
or,
never
or,
noticed
or
that
called
either,
called
yeah.
them the other one Rogue One.
It feels like this is going on kind of long. I don't remember this just.
I mean, I don't know what we've talked about it yet, but this movie is absolutely bloated,
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah.
and this is kind of an example of it. This is it is long. It's
It feels like this is just like the same clips over and over and over, and we should just let's speed this up.
so if you want to talk about shortening the movie, this is what I would shorten to.
Sure, yeah.
to add more character moments. I would tone down this battle a lot.
Yeah, that's
But the
fair.
thing is, I think they spent so much time not having like the big conflict between humans and Na'vi that they felt like they had to make this a big epic battle.
Yeah, but this
And
doesn't
so
feel
it
epic.
has to
This just
be
feels
long.
drawn out.
Yeah, no, and
So, like,
but when they filmed it, I feel like James Cameron's like, this is gonna be
Yeah.
the best thing anyone's ever seen.
So like the final battle in Endgame, it doesn't feel drawn out to me.
Really?
Really? It's long,
Oh,
but
man.
I'm captivated the whole way through.
yeah, I think it's enough. I think the reason I like it is there's enough like I don't want to say fan service in it. I mean there is fan service.
There's
in
a
it.
buttload of fan service.
Okay, I guess I do want to call it fan. There's enough. I get to see all my favorite characters do something cool, and that's why I feel like it's not
Except
drawn
for
out.
the Hulk. The Hulk. Don't
That's
get me
that's why I feel like that one's not drawn out because it's like because I care about the characters in that battle,
invested in them. Yeah.
and so I want to see them do something cool. I want to see them be beaten up. I want to see them fight back.
And
In
again-
this movie, I don't care. I don't care
Right.
about dodgeball in this movie. I don't care about
the Terminator guy, Sam
yeah,
Worthington.
yeah. There's so many characters. I like. I don't really care what happens to them. So like to have a battle kind of surrounding them, it's like kind of it does feel long. But in Endgame, I'm like okay, like it's cool to see. It is Iwa,
Ewa.
Yahweh. I'm gonna keep saying Yahweh.
And again, I do think that all of us are going to view this movie differently in 20 years when the other movies have come out.
In 20 years.
Or 100 years.
Dude,
I don't know.
isn't
If they keep coming out like 13 years apart from each
I
other.
wonder if they make a sequel, is it going to be a direct sequel or is it going to be like a while later? Because at this point, it's like if a new one came out, like I would be like, well,
Wouldn't
it's got to,
it would
it's
still
got to
be
be.
a direct sequel, even if it was like 5 years later.
I mean, like it takes place directly after.
Oh, like
This
pick
movie.
up where it left off.
Yeah. Or will
I
it
don't
be
know.
like 10 years have
Yeah.
passed?
So
20
this
years
is what I was
have
talking
passed,
about. So instead of trying to kill her, it like yields to her.
Well, because Yahweh has made all the animals.
No, I think it's because this one has chosen her.
No, because
No.
look at all the flying iguanas have all joined them in the fight. All the hammerhead
If that was true,
yeah.
rhinoceros have
this
joined them
one-
in the fight. This
this
is
one
this
wouldn't
is
just-
all of nature joining in the fight
If
right
that
now.
was true, then it would be joining in the fight. It wouldn't stop in front of her and like bow its head. It would just run past her.
I think
like
it's
everything
just-
else did.
I mean,
I like to
guess,
think
yeah.
that it was an intentional thing that they were
Yeah.
like, this one will yield, as opposed to the banshees that try to fight you.
I think they just need to have a main character ride something.
I also
So-
think that was to look
because
cool.
because
yeah.
because she has to get in the fight with the mech later,
Yeah.
and she can't do it on her own, so she has to
No,
she
for
has
sure,
to be
for
connected
sure.
to something. Yeah, I think it's all Yahweh.
More slow motion. Is this slow motion? Yeah, it's super slow motion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point? It doesn't add anything to the scene.
Again, we keep harping on it. My problem is not slow motion. My problem is like just the constant change to it is what's. Oh my God, this guy gets squashed! Holy fuck!
You know, there's a
I forgot about that. Oh my God, what a terrible way to die! Oh my
so
God.
there's a Power Ranger Megazord that looks like this ship, and every time I watch this, I just
I know exactly what you're
I
talking
want to
about.
I want to hop on eBay right now and see if
Oh
I
my
can find
God.
this and just order it because I think about this. I think about it all the time. I just want it. That's all I am. I'm just Bionicles, Power Rangers, and Transformer references.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I did not realize how much slow motion there was in this movie.
Oh yeah.
This sequence has so much.
And I guess maybe for some people that's cool, and they like the way that looks. And
Probably the same people that like, shaky cam, even though that's like way overdone in some things also. Yeah.
yeah, I thank God there's not very much in this.
Yeah. Or Dutch angles.
if any-
this was
if
like
any.
loaded with Dutch angles.
I haven't seen any.
I
I
don't
haven't seen
have
any
either,
shaky
yeah.
cam. I haven't even seen handheld cam in this. It's all.
You haven't? Yeah, there's been a couple.
There's been
Oh,
a
okay.
couple, yeah.
I might not have noticed it, but
They're very brief.
yeah, it's not.
Brief. I wear boxers. You get it?
Oh my God.
I like this idea that you could fall from like thousands of feet and just like be fine because the planet has so many plants.
It would still hurt to hit the first one for sure.
Maybe.
It would still really hurt.
Absolutely.
But that leaf is real
I love
squishy.
that he's just like he's like on fire. It takes him a minute to even realize it. That's what I'm saying. It's like I like. It seems like he really leaned into this character. He's real. I like.
I like him, yeah.
It's so basic and it's just such straight up bad guy. But at least it's like he like really went.
He
for
does a
it, I
good job
think.
at
Yeah.
it, even though like
It's
the
like-
archetype is really basic.
It's so bad, but it's just like it could have been a lot worse if it was some actor who was like, oh, like I'm
Like
annoyed.
Nicolas
I'm
Cage.
annoyed that I have to do this. Like I'm annoyed that I have to be this character.
Yeah.
At least he was like, at least he went full Papa Dragon on this one.
Yeah.
That's how we're gonna have to rate this movie. How many Papa Dragons does
Papa
it get?
Dragons. Oh my gosh. I think it'd be doing a disservice to the word Papa Dragon to not give it like 10 out of 10 Papa Dragons, but
Yeah.
at the same time this movie has not
Yeah.
earned a single Papa Dragon.
How many Scarlett Johanssons out of
So
I mean,
yeah, we were
Papa
talking.
Dragons are lower than Scar.
We were talking about it last
Are
time.
they?
So we
Oh, for sure.
we have Scarlett Johansson's. We have Baron Zemos,
Yeah.
and then we have cocksuckers from Whiplash.
From Whiplash.
So we were
Oh,
saying
yeah, have you not listened to that yet?
No,
we
I
were
haven't.
saying we have to get a whole spreadsheet going on how many
Our
so-
rating scale, yeah.
like I was like, well, how many Scarlett Johanssons equals one Baron Zemo, and how many cocksuckers equals one Baron Zemo?
So
So I think Papa Dragon is our very low scale like, rating.
I
Papa Dragons are the pennies of our,
Yeah, exactly.
of our
It's
rating
just-
system
like,
currency.
100 Papa Dragons per Zemo. I
So-
think is where we're at.
we're like
That's the
talking
exchange rate.
we're like talking through this whole fight, but I really like how this fight doesn't feel too short. It doesn't feel too long to me. I like how this.
I love that he has a knife
Like, why would he have that?
because it looks cool.
I know, but like practically speaking, it's silly.
Yeah, especially since like it would just be something like that extends out of the arm anyways.
Again, this is a cool video game scene.
This is really
It's
cool.
a cool. This is a really cool video game fight.
But they had like a tiny bit of slow motion there too,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there's more slow motion in a second. Yeah.
This looks like this reminds me of Gimli when he's caught under the wargs. He's like can't get up. That's what it looks like. Oh, man.
Nothing's over while I'm still breathing. Yeah. Hoping he'd say that. Oh, I freaking love it.
And it's kind of cool. It shows like really how powerful these Na'vi are. It's like, yeah, it's going
And
on
they're-
against
they're
a
really
mech,
big,
and,
too.
and he's like still. I mean, yeah, he's taking the hits, but he's not like getting demolished or anything by this mech that's considerably bigger than him. I do like. This is again, and McKinnon brought up like this is a good example of like the scale of these guys,
Yeah.
and that they are formidable, like just on their own,
Yeah.
He's like, go down. Oh shit! Okay, I forgot about this part. This is where he realizes that
Yeah.
he doesn't need to kill Sully as an avatar. He just needs to get Sully as a.
Which, like, what are the odds that he like crashed and landed?
Oh my
right
god,
here?
that's such a good point. 'Cause
Yeah.
didn't they? I thought they had it like hidden away.
Why wouldn't they put this like way further away from the battle? You know?
And I guess we don't really know how far they traveled and how far they got into like their kind of secret area, but
Uh,
still,
I
it
mean,
is amazing odds
The
that
fight's not terribly long. I think this is still pretty much in the vicinity of like the floating rocks.
yeah, but it is kind of amazing that it just so happened to be like. But again, it is for the sake of the movie, so I don't mind stuff like this for the sake of it. Like,
Yeah, and like I said, no one left the theater thinking like, why was this so close to the battle? Because that's not what people were thinking.
doesn't he get his ponytail grabbed? Isn't that like the big thing?
Yeah, he gets Gosh, that would hurt so much. Can you imagine someone grabbing like
So
Well,
many
especially
nerve
because it's
endings.
like
that's
it's
such like
it's
a,
not just his hair. It's like a
it's like his penis.
yeah. I was
Yeah.
gonna say it's. So this movie is this movie is all about it's phallic in nature. I think
Everything, yeah,
everything in this movie revolves around a phallus.
like the lighthouse.
I'm so annoyed that you're saying this right now. I have so many things to say about that movie.
I didn't say anything.
I know.
It's still Gimli stuck under
Gimli
the.
getting out in front of the warg. Well, and I think that's why I'm talking about like him grabbing the ponytail. Is like that's what's important. Is like I think it's now he is like becoming like really Navi because like this is like his life force is being grabbed right there. That's what is like he's being
What a shot!
controlled by that.
Can you believe that? Someone made that shot on set.
Yeah, no, it's they used real Navi for this movie.
These real Navi, yeah. They were so expensive though.
Yeah. Except for the avatars. The avatars are CGI, but everyone else everyone else are real Navi in this movie. And see, you'll see here in a little bit. In 1 minute, he will die of the neurotoxin.
That death looked ridiculous.
It's so cheesy. Which
Oh
again,
my
that's how
gosh.
he's played this character. Is cheesy, like as much as he can go.
So, I really like this part. So I always wondered about this. I don't know if Jake ever explained to Natiri that like, hey, my human body's in here.
I think they're aware of that.
Do you think so?
I think so.
I assume so, but it's like never shown to us. So I really like this part when she jumps into like the little.
You know why it's never shown
Area.
to us is because
It's
nothing in
assumed.
this movie happens until Jake Sully
Yeah.
shows up on this planet. So like
Sure.
you're left assuming that people had contact with the Navi
Yeah.
with
I was-
masks on.
I was just gonna say I
Like
really like
you're left
this.
assuming that because
Yeah.
which again I think would be way cooler if they had Tommy show up first
Yeah.
and kind of like set the backdrop for the movie, have him die, and then have Jake Sully show up and be the warrior or whatever.
For
I
sure.
think that would have been so much better.
I was just gonna say I really like when she like dives into the
Yeah.
little containment
And again,
area.
like,
and it's
she's
like
humongous.
It's a show of scale. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's humongous.
And I do like this is an example. I think they look really good together. Where I think
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to. She looks great right now, and I think a lot of it is the paint on the face.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you don't really have to like you don't have to show pores. You don't have to show small hairs on the face. You don't have to like you don't have to. A lot of kind of detail you're expecting to see in a face is obscured because you have this paint. And as long as you can do paint really well visually, like in visual effects, it looks really good.
Well,
and
like,
it looks really good
Their
there.
hands touching looks good
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I think it's the light reflecting that makes it so difficult, like to replicate the texture of skin.
Yeah.
And why
Yeah.
the paint makes it look so. I mean, you have that
Yeah.
matte texture.
Yeah, it makes this whole thing looks like they're together.
Do you
I
think the hand was animated too, or do you think that like his hand was real?
Fuck, that's a good point. I bet it's real.
Yeah.
I would guess that it's real.
I don't know. It would probably be easier to do if it was animated along with her.
I think it would. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. We'll have to leave a comment for Corridor Crew to go over that one.
I'll give James Cameron a call after
Yeah.
this. I'll put something in the comments and I'll pin it.
I know we talked about Corridor Crew before, but they do great visual effects like
They're so
breakdowns.
good.
I really like watching their channel. But yeah, that would be a cool one to see them.
Yeah, so there's like the other Avatar people and like that
Where
dude.
the fuck were they?
that
The
dude with the
whole
shirt,
time,
yeah.
yeah.
Where's his story? Is he maybe the
Yeah.
next movie's about
Where were
him?
they?
Yeah.
I would like that. Honestly, in a second movie, I would like it to be totally
Each movie
totally
could
different
be like
cast.
a different perspective or
Yeah,
something like that.
I would
That'd
like
be kinda
that.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've told all of the story that Sam Worthington can give us.
Yeah, I think this one-dimensional character has given us all he's gotten.
It's amazing that he's one-dimensional and a paraplegic. You know,
Because
Like,
that would be
there-
at least 2 dimensions, right?
I mean, you could just. There's so much there's so much character there. You know, so much
There's
struggle
a
that they
lot of
just
potential.
didn't talk about.
So
Yeah.
we didn't really get into this. I kind of like that his little video sessions that he's doing now. Because at first he like hates recording them. He's like, why am I doing this? This is stupid. And then later on he gets like more involved with the Na'vi, and he's like, oh, this like culture is amazing. Like they have this like great spirit, and like they're. And I like that this is his last one, and he's like, I'm gonna go join them, and I'm gonna be one.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I think I like that narrative throughout the story, like that part of it. I think is cool.
And that's kind of what I meant at the start, talking about like the narration. I never thought of that as like in your face, but it's like trickled all the way through. I kind of liked it, but some people would say it's lazy, and I suppose I would agree.
And then the final scene.
What a hairy chest, though. He's really upgrading to that hairless Na'vi.
Well, and then he's got all the seeds around him because he's the savior, and
Blessed by Yahweh.
well, and
You are.
Sigourney Weaver didn't have any of those seeds, so she was never going to be reborn. And then you see the eyes open.
Ooh, I don't like thinking. Her hand has nails. You see that? I don't like thinking about aliens with fingernails.
Yo, you haven't noticed it? Yeah,
That's a weird thought.
They've all had fingernails.
Ugh. Avatar. That's what this movie's called.
What do you think of? I think it's weird when you put the title of the movie at the end of the movie. Like you weren't supposed to know what it was until just now.
Yeah.
I think it's weird. I think it's weird to put a title
think
in
it
the
would-
movie in general.
I think it would fit weird if they put it at the very beginning.
I mean,
think it
honestly-
I
fits
just think you
better
don't put
here.
it in. I
Well-
already know if I'm going to theaters, I already know what I bought a ticket for. If I am watching it on DVD or
I
Blu-ray,
don't think that's why
or
they put it in. They
I
don't
ju-
put it in to remind people
know,
what they
I
paid
just-
for.
I know. I just in any movie, not just this one, because I know I've been critical of this movie. I just think it's weird in general when you put the title again, like at the end. I think it's weird.
I think it's weird when they put it at the beginning and the end.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the interesting thing is the historically when they've shown the credits. Credits were most often shown before the film,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's only
Yeah.
been a more recent trend that they go at the end.
Oh man.
Calvin just fell out of his chair. Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, McKenna and I were talking a little bit about the X-Men movies where it looks like everything goes through a wormhole. It's all this CGI open where it's all a bunch of credits.
Yeah, or like Spider-Man opens.
Yeah,
with,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
the
I
credits
mean, that's
and
like
then it says
gone now. That's
Spider-Man,
like
yeah.
totally done. Like,
Which,
you
like,
hardly
it-
ever
it-
see that in a movie
It
anymore.
fits some
Yeah.
movies better. Like I think it would be weird for Avatar if it opened with like credits,
Yeah.
a little montage of Pandora,
Honestly,
and
I
then
think
said
it's-
Avatar.
That's what it does.
Honestly, I think it's
basically.
weird.
It opens with that
Yeah.
weird little montage of
But
like,
it would
this
be
is
weird
who
if-
Jake Sully is.
If it would be weird if instead they had the credits playing and like some music playing and showing like landscape pictures and stuff like that. Like
a
it,
lot of films do
Yeah.
that.
I know they
though.
do. I don't think it would fit this movie.
I don't think
I
it
don't
fits
what they
any
did
movie.
fit.
I don't think it works in any movie. I like
Really?
that. I like that the.
I think it fits well for Spider-Man.
I think that the idea of like moving away from credits at the beginning is good.
Yeah.
I like that. I think about Men in Black. You know, in like the first Men in Black, there's that bug that's
Yeah.
flying around. It's just a bug flying around like for like 10 minutes, and
I
then it
love
finally
that
hits the
movie.
windshield. It's
I
like just
love
start
that
the
movie.
fucking movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, even like in older films, like it's just the credits.
Yeah,
It's not
Yeah.
even like action.
yeah.
There's nothing else going on the screen.
it's just text on screen.
With a musical score.
Like how
All
long
right,
ago
well-
are you talking? Like how old?
Like I mean, like you could probably find something in the 70s, but even before that,
Interesting.
it was a lot more prominent.
'Cause I know for like Jurassic Park they play the credits at the end. So
So if you're still with us, congratulations, you made it to the end of Avatar. Uh,
One.
we I'm assuming don't have glowing reviews about this movie.
I still
But
like it.
I would like to go around the table real quick and just hear final thoughts on it. I think we can. I'd like to start with McKinnon first
I've
because
always
I'd like to kind of hear a
yeah, yeah.
positive note on
I've
this.
always enjoyed this movie. I don't think too hard about it. I know that there are plot holes. There's plot holes with every movie. I don't.
That's not true.
It is true. I don't go see this movie for the story. I think the story facilitates the visuals, and the visuals are what I like about this movie. That's my takeaway. I think this movie's just it's perfect in how it looks.
I think that's a
And
good
that's
way
why I really
of
like
putting
it.
it. Is if you want to see a movie for it being visual, this like you
Yeah.
said, it facilitates that.
I
It's a this movie is a vehicle for good visual effects.
Absolutely. I don't think.
It's not a visual. It's not a vehicle for great acting or
Yeah.
character development or screenwriting or it's just not a
Yeah. I don't.
it's
I
not a
don't like.
well-rounded movie, but it is visually great.
I don't like Michelle Rodriguez. I don't think Sam Worthington is a notable actor. I think the villain is one note. I think everyone is one note, and those characters are not compelling to me.
Yeah, and they don't. They're one note, and they don't harmonize.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, they.
That's the thing.
I
Is,
can
yeah,
see
I
that.
don't.
Yeah.
I don't feel a.
They all
I don't
exist
feel
in a
a
vacuum.
Yeah, I don't feel a big connection between any of the main characters besides
Natiri.
Natiri
Yeah.
and Sully. I think, and that's purely because Natiri, like Zoe Saldana, is like good in this
Because
movie.
you don't
Yeah.
see any of the other people interacting almost at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like her character in this movie, her relationship with Sully is the only like real relationship in this movie. And I think you kind of try to build some camaraderie between the scientists, but like I just don't like catch it at all. Like there's just not enough, and they don't even I don't know. There's not enough of them together for me to like get behind them as a crew, like as a group that like care about each other. Like that should be a real family dynamic where they all like really care about each other and they're gonna do anything for each other. And they don't do that. Like Sigourney Weaver, when she thinks Sully's getting too close to the military guy, she just pulls him out. It's like, we're going somewhere else. There's not like a kind of family meeting to be like, hey, this is not what we're about. Like, let's do the right thing. And they have like a come to Jesus moment together.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't happen. And that would have built camaraderie between like that crew and would have made me care about them as characters together. But there's none of that.
Yeah.
And so I think you're right. They exist in a vacuum is like the best way to put it for sure.
Yeah, and I think exactly what we were saying before. If you cut a lot of these characters and a lot of these plot lines, we could focus on the ones that mean more, that create more emotional bonds. If you focus just on the scientists as a group, you cut, chart guy with the glasses and the curly black hair.
That's all he does. He just looks at charts. He's like,
The-
oh, the harmonics are
The
good.
Inception guy.
yeah,
You mean?
The
Yeah,
science
yeah,
is. He's just
exactly.
like, oh, look at all the science on this chart. Like, that's all he
Yeah.
does.
Honestly, probably get rid of Rodriguez's character, get rid of Dodgeball, get rid of Quaritch, get rid of Giovanni. Maybe keep Giovanni
I
Ribisi
think
as
he's
like
yeah
he
he's
could
good.
because he plays like the both the like remorseful
I think
duty
he's-
type
I think
corporate
he's like
advocate.
the everyman. He's the guy you're supposed to relate to.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm just here to do a job. I'm not
Yeah.
here to care about these things that aren't necessarily human. I'm not here for the moral implications of what we're doing. We're extracting resources. You keep him as an allegory for, or as a representative character for the idea of corporate colonialism
Yeah.
and create tension there, but really focus in on the family and then like a couple of the characters in the Navi, but not the one dude that's always antagonistic with him. I don't think you need as much. You certainly only need one chief or one, either the mother or the father, not both of them. But that's the way I would say.
Yeah, I agree. It would have been interesting, yeah, if there was a version of this movie with less people. I definitely agree that they could have been stronger for sure. I think as it is, though, I like it. I still enjoy watching this movie. There are movies I enjoy more, but I mean, like I said 100 times, it's so pretty. It's hard for me to dislike this movie
I
just
agree
based
with
on
that.
how it looks.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Calvin? What did you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, like honestly, if you want to get the essence of the film, get a couple stills from the film. hang them on your wall, and then buy the soundtrack.
Which is something. Wait, that's something I want to bring up. I don't notice the score to this movie at all.
I
You
don't either.
don't? Oh, it's amazing.
It's probably amazing. I can't recall a note in this movie.
I think
It's
don't-
because we didn't hear any of it while we were
Well,
watching.
but I think
But
about
the
it.
It's
subtitles on the whole time.
Yeah, you couldn't hear the subtitles.
Okay, but I think about movies I really like, and I know the score to them. Like we said it before. I've said it before. One of my favorite movies is Interstellar, and I love the score is
On par.
it's like
Both of these are on par with each
Really?
other.
I
Oh
don't-
yeah, you got to go back. The thing is why the
I
score
don't-
stands
yeah.
out so much more in Interstellar is because it's not as much drawing your attention away from the music, because you just have these very flat scenes in terms of color. You see so many things in Avatar that your eyes are drawn to that like I'm more particular about the music.
I think
in
it's
films,
pedestrian in this movie. I think it's pedestrian.
you should listen to the soundtrack because it is so engaging and so emotionally
I could see
uplifting.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do what I said.
Rent the soundtrack.
Go pause a scene in the film,
Yeah.
put on the soundtrack, and just close your eyes and experience Awa.
That's your official rating?
You meant Yahweh.
I'm so sorry.
You mean Matanui, the
Yeah.
balancing god?
That's what you meant.
We're really straying far off the path of the
Yeah.
canon.
So is that's all? That's your big thought on this movie?
Yeah, maybe curl up with a nice body pillow,
Yeah.
and then that's
Fall asleep to Avatar.
That's basically everything in this film.
So I don't love this movie, but I think between the three of us, I fall somewhere in between. Like I don't dislike it as much as Calvin does, and I definitely don't like it as much as McKinnon does. But I think McKinnon made a really good point, which is how I would describe this movie as well. It's like the visuals. The story serves to drive the visuals of this movie, not the other way around, which is disappointing because I don't think any movie is good if it's like that. I think if you have, it's I said earlier,
Unless it's the only
yeah.
point.
But that's not how this movie is.
Right.
I would argue the only point to this movie was the visuals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Well, I mean, I
Because
think,
that's why they waited so long to make the movie, was because technology wasn't there.
But I think James Cameron thought he was delivering a genuinely good movie.
I guess.
I don't
Right,
think
exactly.
I don't think he thought like this visual effects is the only thing that matters in this movie. I think
And
he
we're
thought
slap a story into
yeah,
it.
I think he thought he was telling a good story. That's what I think.
That's
And
fair, yeah.
Jaden had said this in an earlier podcast, and when we were dogging on Calvin for liking this movie, he said it's Pocahontas, but like with good visual effects, and that's essentially what this movie is. It's
Yeah.
not a story I haven't seen before. It's nothing like there's nothing about this that I am
Yeah.
experiencing for the first time except for
Dances
the
with
visuals.
Wolves.
Like nothing about this movie is
Fern Gully.
yeah. It's humanity destroying nature, and that's
Yeah,
the core of the story.
A couple quote unquote bleeding hearts standing up for what is right and good as to the narrative's moral structure.
Yeah, it's like naturalists against like industrialists.
Colonialism or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's a fight against oppressive colonialism. Like that's what the story is, and it's nothing I haven't seen before. So
Yeah.
like seeing it with really tall blue people and really pretty vistas is not enough for me to
Yeah.
like really like this movie. And I'm with Calvin. I remember seeing this before, and I remember thinking it was really cool.
Amazing.
I remember thinking like this is a good movie, and like watching it again today, I'm like, oh man, I'm like, and I feel like maybe I'm in a little bit of an echo chamber hearing Calvin say stuff, and I'm bouncing off that, and I am giving my own like kind of negative opinion on it, but like I still just don't think this is like that good.
Yeah. I mean, this movie, it's not in my top 20. It's probably not in my top 30. Like, it's just a movie that I can sit down with my wife and enjoy quoting all the lines, and I just enjoy it. But yeah, I
you
totally
don't
get
even
what you're
turn
saying.
on the TV.
Yeah, I take a still picture and put it up on the TV, and then just tell her the whole movie.
You should just you just
narrate the soundtrack.
from the
just-
beginning. Yep.
McKinnon could just sit in front of the Avatar poster with his wife and be like, let me tell you the story of Avatar, and just quote the whole movie.
Yeah, let me tell you the story of my people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think Calvin was right. He said earlier, this is like a background Netflix movie. This is a fireplace, playing in the background. This is
Yeah.
a aquarium playing in the background. This is not a movie. I'm like,
Yeah, the Finding Nemo, like Dory's Aquarium.
Yeah, this
thing.
is not a movie I'm like overly enthralled to watch. I'm not like gonna I mean, I'm not like gonna put my phone down to watch it. I'm not gonna watch it by myself and like be that into it. That said, it looks good enough that I'm willing to like give it a shot every once in a while, which is what we did today. I think we all got together and were like, what's a movie we want to check out? And we had heard
That's
Calvin talk about it for a bit, and,
yeah. I
and
don't know if
we
that's
were
like
Two-
you know,
two
what
out of-
movie do we want to
2 out of
watch?
3 of
not
us
not what
wanted
we
to
want to
it.
watch. I think it's the movie I wanted to hear our opinions on the most. So that's kind of why we decided on this one. But yeah, my this gets this gets like half a Papa Dragon from me. This is a
Yeah.
I can give it at least 4 Papa Dragons, I think.
okay.
Out of a scale from like 1 to a 78.
You know,
We
for-
don't. Okay, first of all, we've been over this. We don't use numbers in this. That's not our scale, dude.
Well, the maximum Papa Dragons is that many.
Well, 78 Papa Dragons is like not even one Baron Zemo.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd give
like,
it a quarter of a Baron Zemo.
You get a quarter Zemo.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, that's not the worst rate you can get.
yeah.
It's
So
not, no, that's pretty respectable in the community.
This
yeah.
isn't a. Yeah, so
it
this
has a
isn't-
lot of street value.
Yeah. So this isn't my favorite movie. It's not my least favorite movie. It's just a movie that kind of exists, and it is worth watching if you haven't yet, just to like look at it because it looks good.
Yeah, I think this will have a significant amount of technical and cultural historical value, kind of like Birth of an D.W. Griffith's Birth of a Nation. You know, the way that color film impacted the viewing experience. All of those types of technological advancements is where this film is going to sit. So how I would rate it is story. I mean, nothing we haven't heard before, nothing interesting, nothing really emotionally compelling. So is it even on the scale of a Papa Dragon? Probably not. But like
Yeah.
for music, like that's like 7 ScarJos right there, 7 or 8 ScarJos.
Have you
Yeah.
heard her sing, Scarlett Johansson? She
Um,
sings in the movie Sing, where she plays a porcupine. She's
No.
good. She's a good
Really?
singer. Yeah, no.
I didn't know
She has
that.
she has a song that
Sometimes
slaps.
Sometimes I just can't tell if you're yanking my chain. or
I'm
not.
not.
No,
it's
McKinnon watched a lot of animated movies.
I have it
and-
on my
and-
Spotify.
yeah.
It's really good.
Okay,
Set It
fair
All
enough.
Free by Scarlett Johansson. Check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to bump that later
It's
tonight.
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and then visuals, you know, that's it holds up still after
It does.
12 years.
I was actually surprised by that. I was like, this is still a really good looking movie.
Yeah, there's like some uncanny valley stuff to it.
But you see like Thanos, where it's like you can see like the pores on his skin. You can see where like he shaved his head and like some hairs have grown back, and like it's like that is a insanely like CGI is amazing in that movie, and this
Yeah.
still looks like it's. I'm not saying it's on par with that, but it still looks really good.
Yeah, yeah. So so I don't know if it'll hold up forever, but it's that's 10 out of 10 Papa Dragons. So, but yeah, that's about that's all. That's all I really have to say is like story, visuals, and music.
And I
Because I'm not even gonna comment on the acting because it's just so easy. It's all done. Yeah, it's like that's a ScarJo right there.
Yeah,
And
she's the only thing that matters
Mhm.
acting wise in this movie.
And
Absolutely.
again, I think the last thing I'll say is I'm really excited to see this movie in 20 years when we have the whole series. Because like with every movie that comes out that's part of a series, the first installment always looks different by the end, and I'm
Yeah,
excited to see.
I wonder how it
yeah.
feels like because you look at like all the Marvel movies.
Well, I
It's
think
like,
about like
there's some stinkers in there, but like when
Yeah.
you look at it as a whole, it's like, oh my god, like what
Well, and I
what
think
what an
about,
incredible
Universe.
cinematic feat.
I think about like The Force Awakens and how like that movie looks different with like the other movies that came after it, and you know
Yeah,
stuff like
that's
that
fair.
looks different with like the benefit of hindsight. You know.
yeah.
So I'm
I like
excited
that.
to see how that comes out when we have the whole series.
Okay, well, I think we've all said everything we have to say, and thanks for sticking with us this long.
Calvin,
Yeah.
thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks for listening to me babble.
I'm glad you didn't leave. But yeah, so I think with that, we'll close it out. I'm your host Connor. I have my producer McKinnon. Yee. And we have our former guest Calvin here.
And thanks for having me on.
All right, thanks for listening, guys.